big.
Yeah, exactly. Right out the window.
It's a Shockmaster moment all over again.
Yeah, exactly. I had already said before that point, though, I was like, oh, yeah, kayfabe's dead. And that's why what are you talking about? What do you mean kayfabe? No, kayfabe's dead. It's definitely dead. And
Fourth wall broken.
Yeah. And you just killed it by freaking dropping my name. But that's fine. Speaking of dropping my name, hello, everybody out there in the non-existent podcast land, at least non-existent as far as this podcast goes. I'm your host, Mr. NSFW, or Peas, or whatever anybody's going to take to calling me. And I have a very special treat for you all. My friend Matt is here to, I don't know if it's to debate points I've made previously, or if it's just to agree with me. I'm hoping it's the latter, because I like it better when people agree with me, because I'm always right. So, Matt, say something to the crowd.
What's up? Hey, yo.
Riveting. Sorry, I've been planning for days now. I'm like, I'm going to throw him right under the fucking bus. I'm going to do it.
Where's you got the shovel out already?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, he's going to say something. And unless it's something that actually makes me go, well done. Well done. I'm just going to be like,
And?
I was hoping it was going to be some, hi, everybody, my name is Matt, and blah, 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 blah. Okay, but slow it down, kid. All right.
Grab a headlock.
Yeah, I said something. I need a rest hold. All right, so I suppose we should go with the obvious that was like an elephant in the room. Actually, wait, no. The podcast that I deleted, I did start it off with that today's show is brought to you by self-awareness, because above everything else, it's important to be self-aware. Right. In the case of a person who's an armchair quarterback or a fantasy booker or any of the above, you want to be self-aware and realize that what you're booking and what you're selling is not necessarily the best for the entire product. It's just what's best in your personal opinion. And a lot of people seem to forget that, because I follow a lot of people on YouTube that are like, why don't I have a contract? Why don't I work for WWE? Why am I not booking for them? And to be fair, a lot of their points are valid, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's best for business. Just because what you're booking is the best to you doesn't mean it's the best overall. Exactly. Now, do I think that they're like anybody else could have booked most of SummerSlam better than they did? Yeah, I'm pretty sure they could have.
A group of chimps probably could have
I'm
booked
sure.
SummerSlam better than they did. Oh, you got this, you got this big monster heel, and we got this unbeatable cage fighting beast. But let's throw in Samoa Joe, and let's throw in because we got to throw in Roman Reigns, because he's got to be in the main event.
Of course he does. He's got to be in every main event ever.
So now we're gonna push that big money match to no name, late September pay-per-view, and try to boost those subscription sales, because we're getting close to Survivor Series. So
I think the reason why they're going the whole Strowman versus Brock route right now is because Joe got injured.
Yeah,
he's got a leg injury, so which fucking broke my heart, because I'm like, no. I was glad to see that he didn't get buried necessarily during that match, but I also hated the fact that in that main event, Joe felt like such an afterthought. Like he didn't do anything. I mean, I love the fact that he slips in and he grabs the coquina clutch a couple of times, and that's great, but what the fuck?
You go from Great Balls of Fire, which, by the way, I wish I had been here when that pay-per-view happened, because I had a whole bunch of other Jerry Lee Lewis titles that I wanted to go with, but I couldn't. Right now, off the top of my head, I can't think of one. But you go from that great match that those two had at Great Balls of Fire, where Joe and Lesnar come off looking like $1 million, and then the next pay-per-view, Joe, like you said, is an afterthought.
Yeah. Especially with how much, like, Paul E. built him up. And
Heyman is...
he's so good. He makes anybody, like, the most marketable person possible. And he's fantastic. My wife hates him, but that's also...
That's his job. His job is to get people to hate him.
He's also guilty by association because she legitimately hates Brock Lesnar. Not just as an athlete, not just as a superstar. Legitimately hates a man she's never met before. And I kind of feel bad about that, because it's not really fair. But on the same token, he's proven to be not the greatest when it comes to some things.
Well, to his credit, he's... Well, I don't want to say to his credit. He doesn't really have a stake in the game, You talk about these guys, like, I know everybody hates Cena and everybody hates Reigns, but these guys are, like, completely devoted to it. This guy shows up when he wants to. He pretty much does what he wants, because I read recently that he's the only one that's allowed to hard way or get himself busted open, and,
Makes sense. He does it in most of his matches.
Yeah, but that's like... It's like he doesn't have a stake in the game. He shows up when he wants to, and then he just disappears for months, and then he comes back, and we're supposed to be like, oh, the great one's back, you know?
I don't know. I can't. My thing is that whole thing of he can, he is the number one guy, can do no wrong, is allowed to just walk in and do whatever the hell he pleases. When I'm like, I'll be honest, I don't think he's earned it.
No.
Juicing himself to the tits and building muscle mass to me doesn't equate to one of the greatest superstars of all time allowed to do whatever.
Yeah.
He's a spectacle, but Andre the Giant was a spectacle, and that man did way more for the business than Brock Lesnar has.
And then everybody gives The Rock shit for, popping in and out here and there, but the dude was here for what? He came in around 96 and left full-time around 03?
Yeah.
And Brock was here for, what, 2 years before he left the first time?
It was 2 or 3.
Yeah. So he didn't put in his time to be the part-time guy, but he went to UFC, and, UFC's... Vince won't admit it, but it's his number one competition.
Yeah.
And he won't admit it because, people are going to get... Somebody's going to die in that cage.
Yeah, exactly.
Quote CM Punk.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
I don't want their blood, and I don't want their brutality, but I'll damn sure take their money.
Yeah, so Brock goes to the UFC, gets himself over, and now Vince is like, oh, we got to bring him back, and we'll do whatever he wants. He wants to work, 3 or 4 pay-per-views a year. Oh, that's fine. He wants to, doesn't want to work full-time. Oh, we can do that. It boggles my mind sometimes. I know, and this is objectively coming from a guy that I like Brock. I think when he's in the ring, he's very good. I don't like how he's treated.
Yeah,
I don't like the preferential treatment.
I miss old school Lesnar back when he was actually really, really good. Like, I have his original Here Comes the Pain DVD because I loved that guy when he was that. When he was originally that young and that big.
Well, when he was actually, wrestling. Now he comes in and he suplexes people, gets put in a monster spot where Strowman flips the table over him, and then all of a sudden it comes back in, and all of a sudden he wins, and then he disappears for a couple months. Oh no, he's going to fight Strowman at the next pay-per-view, but that's 4 weeks away.
That was the other PSA I wanted to do with is also brought to you by I also wanted to be brought to you by I don't want to fucking hear the internet wrestling community bitch about finishers not meaning anything and people they take too many moves and they don't go down. Brock Lesnar got speared through a barricade, power slammed through 2 goddamn tables and had a 3rd table thrown on him, put on the fake X and wheeled out. Still comes in, still F5 somebody, still wins the goddamn match. And we're upset because somebody can take 2 F5s in a match? Or 2 FUs? Or whatever? And I'm like, also, Joe took the F5 and laid out clean for it. Took 1. He was going to lay out clean for it the second time he took it in this match if, God forbid, Reigns hadn't saved him. That was the first time I have cheered for Reigns since he was in the Shield. When he pulled him out, I was like, thank you! Give that man the fucking belt right now! That's a bit hyperbolic. I don't actually want him to have the belt. I don't think he deserves it. Not because he's not a good worker. He is a good worker.
No, that's the thing that pisses me off about the we'll call him the IWC.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that they say Reigns sucks. I mean, they say he sucks because he's not their guy.
Yeah.
Ambrose is their guy. Rollins is their guy. I could go all through a whole list of their guys. Reigns isn't theirs, but he sells out arenas. He sells merchandise, and when you do that, I'm sorry, you're going to get to the top. And he is a phenomenal worker. He put on a match with The Undertaker this year at WrestleMania. The Undertaker had basically no hip in this match. And him and Reigns put on a fairly decent match for a 40-something-year-old guy with, half a hip. So, I mean, people can give shit about him they don't think he's earned his spot. But I'll tell you, every time that motherfucker's on a pay-per-view, I'm interested in his match.
Yeah.
That ambulance match with Strowman, when I heard that was being pushed, I was like, I don't know. They put on a good match.
Yeah.
That was a good match.
Though the Wile E. Coyote Roadrunner spot to end it was a bit much.
Oh my god. I'm sorry. That and the Kurt Angle, Jason Jordan son bit almost made me stop watching. I've been watching this since I was a kid, and you basically gifted Reigns a heel turn, the heel turn that he needs. You basically gifted it to him. He tried to commit vehicular homicide. You gave him a heel turn, and he comes out the next night, and it never happened.
Yeah.
It's like,
he's like, I don't care. I did what I had to do to survive. Really? You did?
I think there are easier ways of surviving than running somebody in the back of a fucking ambulance. And then that whole Kurt Angle thing was being built for weeks, and I was like, I'm so interested, I'm so into it. And then somebody posts something and like, oh, it's gonna be that he has like a illegitimate son that's on the roster. I'm like, no, WWE's not that stupid. They wouldn't do that. Oh yes, they will, and they'll make it a guy that, and then they'll put him on they'll take some guy that was on SmackDown in a great tag team with Chad Gable, who I think is absolutely phenomenal.
Oh yeah, if they get rid of him, I might actually have to hang it up. You've got gold in that kid.
And then they bring him over to Raw, and it's like, I like Jason Jordan too, but that's not how you get over in this day and age. I know I'm not going to say the F word, the bad F word on this show, but I know it's scripted.
Yeah.
But in this day and age, you're going to try to pull off he had an illegitimate son that he didn't know about for 30-something years. It's like, come on. That feels like to me, like my intelligence is being insulted.
Oh, it totally was. It's absolutely a slap in the face to anybody that even paying half of it, like a smidge of attention. It's just like, no.
I'm just, for that, I was like, I gotta go. And then they announced that, I started seeing some of the SummerSlam card. I'm like, okay, this might be good. But then they give this spot to Jason Jordan, and then he loses on the pre-show
in front of 16 people.
Like, what's the point?
Yeah,
you basically brought a guy over and gave him nothing to work with. It was like Curtis Axel all over again.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna give you Paul Heyman, but only for a little bit, and then we're just gonna, you're on your own.
Yeah. Well, that happened with Cesaro too. Like he was a Paul Heyman guy, and then
Cesaro, I will argue this point to the friggin' death of me. He is the greatest working, most underutilized talent. He should be competing for world titles, not competing in fucking tag team matches with Sheamus. I'm sorry, Sheamus. Not that I don't like Sheamus, but those are two guys that I'm still not liking them click together. I think they're better separately, and I think Cesaro should be in world title contention.
At the very least, he should be holding a belt of some sort, and he's the perfect candidate for a U.S. Open Challenge kind of thing.
Like that spot he did with Cena, where Cena was standing on the steel steps, and he was on the top rope, and he picked up Cena and suplexed him off the top rope. Like, I'm smelling money, Vince. Why don't you smell it?
But no, the marketability was in the big swing. Or I'm like, really? That's what we're selling it? That's what makes the Cesaro section? Not the fact that this guy is nowhere near as big as John Cena, but is doing like weightlifting feats that surpass John Cena's. That deadlift from like second rope off the apron is one of the greatest spots ever, and I cannot believe A, he doesn't do it anymore, and B, that it didn't get over as well as it could have.
I think it was getting over. That's why they had him stop. That's why they had him stop the swing, because, that's getting a face reaction. We don't want a face reaction. You're a heel. Damn it, you're a heel. You can't be getting stuff that gets over with the fans. You need to be, a bad guy.
Except for if you're Reigns, because Reigns, that's fine.
Reigns, you can make vehicular homicide and you can be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, man.
Then again, I mean, Strowman has been booked as a heel forever, but his just sheer demolition of everything makes him a face. Yeah. Plus the fact that they put him against Reigns. You want somebody to go ultimate face turn, get him against Reigns. That's going to be the easiest way to do it.
And can I just want to say this, because this was a point that I was in my head and I wanted to get it out. That segment on Monday with Reigns and Cena. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. There were times where I was like, wow. And then I go on and they say, the whole thing was scripted. I'm sorry. I'm enough of a mark where I've seen Cena's movies. He's not that good an actor. Okay, so if that's not a shoot, his acting skills have improved tremendously since The Marine and 12 Rounds and all those other shitty movies he was in. Because John Cena bootleg, I was like, whew. And call him saying I can do this better part-time than you can full-time. Yeah. I was just like, God damn. And Reigns, to his credit, he got a few good ones in too, but I think Cena took him to promo school on that one. Yeah.
He definitely did.
And then Reigns, oh my God, this company does so much to protect him. Live, he forgets his lines. I go on YouTube to see what they do.
Yeah, they deleted it.
They delete the whole section where he forgot his lines. It's like, and then they shoot on each other like that. I'm sorry, I'm going to call it a shoot until I'm proved otherwise. They do that, and then Kurt Angle comes out and goes, okay, now you guys are going to be a tag team and go up against Gallows and Anderson. I'm like, wait a minute. If I just like went like 20 minutes just like insulting a guy and just like totally burying him, why would you want to tag with me?
Well, it's a really classic spot to take the two guys that hate each other and make them work together, and then they have like dueling finishers where they're like, you see this is you, and everything. But they didn't do that. Instead, it was they worked together and celebrated the fact that they worked together and they won. Like, that's the only reason why I think people are going to work with, or like lean towards, it wasn't a full shoot. I think it might have been scripted in that the script said, you need to say something along the lines of this, but put your own salt and pepper on it, which then leads to Cena being like, all right, I know what they want to hear. I've been in this business long enough to know exactly what they want me to say. I'm going to say it. And that's what he did. And God bless him for saying it.
Yeah.
I've only hated Cena for the same reason I hate Reigns. It's not their overall in-ring ability, because they're able. They're super able, and their matches are 9 times out of 10 almost flawless.
Yeah.
The problem is they're painfully repetitive. They have a moveset that looks like it should only be like 3 moves because it's all they seem to do. And it's all false finishes.
Yeah.
There is no like medium to low spot, very few rest holds, very few any kind of anything to work, any kind of storyline. It's always just high spot, I get my ass kicked for a little while. High spot, high spot, high spot, I get my ass kicked again for a little while. High spot, I get my ass kicked for a little while. High spot, 1, 2, 3, show's over. And I'm like, you need more than that.
Yeah, there's no meat in that sandwich.
No, and the worst part is, like, and this is my own crippling handicap, I've been watching this shit out of New Japan, and every freaking match is that. You get an attempt at a high spot within the first, like, 60 seconds of the match, and then you don't see it again for at least another 10 minutes. And then it's all working this, that, and the other thing with one random really high spot, like over the top rope or something happening on the outside, but nothing like a finisher. And then when it comes time to really go home, that go home is 10 minutes long of continuous attempts at false finishes and high spots galore. And the Japanese guys, they don't have one move and that's it, that's their finisher. They have signature, and then there's that one move that is like way up on the upper echelon that is, when I hit this move, show's over. And that's what I think needed to be done with these guys, but that doesn't work because that signature upper echelon, they're all the same level.
Superman punch, spear, maybe powerbomb. And he should use the powerbomb more often because it's way more effective than the fucking joke that is the Superman punch. I've said it before, that move's never put a person away in real life. That's a stupid move. And you want to hit me in the kayfabe world of, like, just because he jumps a little bit and throws his shoulder into it, it's way worse. Ugh. Brutal.
I hate punches in pro wrestling anyways, just because...
The only person I ever saw really... the two people I saw pull off spears were Goldberg, and that's just because he's a football player, and that's just a tackle. That's a tackle him. And Edge. Edge did it... I think Edge did it because he could really get the crowd behind it. Like, you know... And then it would be boom, hits the spear, and like you said, we're in the era of false finishes. His spear usually 9 times out of 10 won the match. But
it was also all about, like, the style of the fact that he lunged full extension, but then curled up when he got to the guy, and he would hit him center of mass, hold him all the way down. Reigns is so inconsistent where one time he'll, like, straight out Superman and then just casually fall on the guy, and then other times he runs in and he murders somebody, and I'm like, it doesn't work for me. Like, my favorite's always going to be the gore, like Rhino's gore.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because Goldberg's was great, especially considering, like, he murdered people with the thing, but it was just something about the gore worked because he didn't grab, hold, and go down. He went through you.
Yeah.
And there was never anything to stop him. It was full 100 miles an hour straight through the person, and that was always great to me. Plus, I don't like the fact that Reigns aims for, like, the chest. It's like he aims super high on everybody. Doesn't matter how tall you are, how short you are, it's always right at the chest. And he jumps, his legs do this weird floppy thing, and then when he hits you, he just kind of crumples. Not to mention, the worst part is, like, he's got an hour's worth of build-up for things. Like, I'm going to hit you with a Superman punch. I'm going to stand here in a corner, cock my fist, and punch it, and we're going to wait. And then I'm going to put out the worst yawn possible while we're waiting for me to hit you with a spear. I knew that was going to be a problem back when he was in the Shield, and they were picking him up, and he'd do that. I'm like, no, don't do it. Don't do it.
It's because he's Samoan.
Yeah, of course.
It's Samoan. It's a Samoan culture.
That's the other thing, too, with the whole, like, the build-up back with Great Balls of Fire is the or even no, with this one rather, with SummerSlam to build up to the Fatal 4-Way. The fact that it's like we have the Samoan named Joe, and then we have Samoan Joe. I'm like, why? Reigns has enough fire under him from the higher ups as is. We don't need everybody, including Paul E, who makes or breaks people, shitting on him. Just like you make him an afterthought, and then in the match he's an afterthought, and then he gets injured. He's going to come back, and people are going to be like, "Who's that guy?"
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, great. Let's take one of the highest talents that's ever fucking lived and just meh.
I'm surprised he didn't do what Aries did. Said, "I want out."
Yeah.
I wouldn't blame him for 1 second. I'll go back on the Indies and make my big money and not have to deal with this horse shit.
I really hope they're going to go through with the idea of they might do a weird sort of like brand trade kind of shake-up thing where they actually take some people, scoop them up, and send them to NXT. NXT is no longer the undercard. It's not a demotion. It's its own brand, and you go there, good. You know, I mean, and I would like to see that with some people. Not necessarily people who have been in there and done really good before, but a lot of people could use it. It'd be a great way to get some people over. Likewise, there's some people over in NXT now who I think could slip in just... The key is have them show up, have it be kind of a big deal, but don't immediately push them to main event status. Let them get that kind of build going.
Ty Dillinger.
Yeah.
Shows up at the Royal Rumble and, you know, gets a good pop, and then he goes back and disappears for a little bit, and comes back on SmackDown, and I won't get into that.
And we get nothing. We get
I don't want to start screaming and yelling, but yeah, he's another one that is kind of great talent that's just kind of like, oh, let's push him aside.
Yeah.
And he's on SmackDown, which to me is the wrestling show.
Yeah.
SmackDown's the wrestling show. Raw's the sports entertainment show. You know,
It was until fucking Road Dogg Jesse Jackoff took over, and then it started turning into fucking absolute bubkiss. There was no point in half of the shit that they put out there. It just, I don't understand how a show like that could have fallen as far as it did. And speaking of super ridiculous talents that they're doing fuck all with, and speaking of, I don't want to scream, but I'm gonna, fucking Rusev does not deserve any of the bullshit he got. No. You ruined a bad gimmick thing with the whole, like...
Dolph Ziggler and Lana.
Exactly. Like, oh, we were going to work on that, what? But you ruined it by coming out and... Who gives a rat's ass? That was a bad thing to begin with. You ruined Lana anyways with that because she went from being the ravishing Russian to all of a sudden, yeah, that's cool. Whatever. I speak English. I don't have an accent,
That's the thing. I'm surprised she doesn't get punished more because she's on TV speaking in Russian, and then if you follow her on Instagram, which I do because she's... but she does her live...
Alexa Bliss.
Exactly.
Guilty.
Which, thank you for bringing her up, because I want to get to her in just a second. But Lana goes on Instagram, and she drops the Russian accent completely. She's talking, doing a live Q&A on Instagram in English. I'm like, wow, you're letting a lot of shit get by, Vince.
I don't think he gives a shit.
Yeah. It's like, wow. Like... You gotta hold on to your gimmick somewhat. I mean, even Triple H, when they did that whole broken arm thing with Lesnar, would show up at events with like a sling on his arm.
Yeah.
It was like he was just still trying to sell it a little bit.
Have the people. The problem is with her, and I mean, I like her. I do think she's got potential. I think she's too green. She's too young, too green to be put into the spotlight to where she doesn't know how to protect the business. Either that or she spent no time in developmental at all and was just thrown right out into the front of the crowd, and they said, speak with your accent when you're in front of the crowd. And that was it. From there, nobody was like, defend your gimmick. I don't even know if Rusev speaks with that accent when he's off camera.
I don't know either. I think he does. I think he's actually from like Bulgaria.
Yeah,
but
I hope so. He's got Bulgaria tattooed on him. That's awful if not. Well, that's real dedication.
But Lana is actually American. She was born in America, so I can understand her having an American accent. But when you're in front of that camera, you got a Russian accent, or you're, I don't know.
It's also like she comes back without the accent. Then disappears again, comes back with Rusev, has the accent magically, and then disappears again, and then comes back and she's still got the accent, even though you're not fucking fooling anybody at this point. Yeah. When you lose the accent, you lose the accent. Kofi Kingston doesn't speak with the Jamaican accent anymore.
Which
That's
Shawn
gone.
Michaels buried him on TV.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Didn't you used to be Jamaican? Oh my god, I was like, oh, that's awful, but funny at the same time.
Yeah, those click guys are allowed to get away with any and all of that. But yeah, watching Rusev get completely buried, and I'm sorry, I don't care who says otherwise, that was a burial.
SummerSlam? Oh,
yeah.
Absolutely. oh, I'm going to beat the shit out of you at ringside. Then we're going to throw you in the ring, start the match. I'm going to hit you with an RKO, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, that's the start to build up their feud. I'm like, how do you build up a feud with a burial?
Feud over.
Feud over! We're going to build up this feud by having a match at one of the big 4 pay-per-views of the year, and you're going to get squashed in 7 seconds with one move that everybody kicks out of on the first try.
Mm-hmm.
But
not anymore. Now they're trying to protect it. Like, that's the thing. And I'm like, well, the problem is, if they didn't protect the RKO, Randy Orton's fucked because he has nothing.
No.
He has 0 charisma. His in-ring ability has gone, and he's got one other move besides, 2. He's got the fucking power slam and then the hanging DDT. Those are his 2 moves. If you get rid of the RKO as being effective, he's fucked. He's got nothing else going for him.
I think he doesn't have a stake. He's kind of like Lesnar, where he doesn't have a stake in the game anymore. I don't think he cares. He's like, okay, you want me to go out and do this? Okay, whatever. I'll get the check every couple weeks. Go home. You want to send me home? Send me home.
I mean, he might be mad because of the whole gender angle of him getting, like, I'm one of the best this company has to offer, and you make me lose to that.
3MB.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's another one. I mean, I'm happy for Jinder because I think he's a halfway decent worker. I don't think
People bitch about how slow he is. I'm like, he's big. Mm-hmm. He's not supposed to be super athletic. I'm like, you're taking a lot of this for granted. I'm like, everybody thinks that because he's skinny, quote unquote, he has to be fast. I'm like, no, he doesn't. He's working a Great Khali-esque style of a super heel that is just a grinder. He just puts you down and holds you down and just works you that way. He doesn't have, I mean, yeah, I wish he had a little more offense. I wish he had some stuff that he did more than just, a couple of holds and the Colossus, and that's it. Because I couldn't name one other signature from him otherwise. No. He's just got the Colossus. Well, I mean, other than fucking tagging in the Singh brothers, but
I hate, I mean, using that is kind of like a heel finish I can get, but it seems like they do it every fucking match he has. It's like, okay, that's great. Oh, so we know what's going to happen. The face is going to get over. He's going to have the finish, and the Singh brothers are going to pull him out, beat him up, and then Jinder hits his finisher, 1, 2, 3. Oh, well, that's a predictable match. Why the fuck would I want to watch it?
Yeah. I mean, surprisingly, Shinsuke being one of my favorite guys, I wasn't as bothered by that. I didn't dislike that match, and I didn't dislike that finish, only because, to me, that kind of does protect him. Yeah. Yes, he took a clean finish, or he took the clean pin, but he took the clean pin because he was distracted. That's not as clean as he's just simply outclassed. And Shinsuke himself is not breaking my heart. The world around him is breaking my heart because I hear so many of the old school wrestling know-it-alls just turning on him. Like, he's not what he used to be. I'm like, number one, he's older. Of course he's not.
Late 30s.
He's working the WWE style, so that means house shows are there. He's going to get a little beat up. He's going to get tired and everything, and that's it. Number 3, did we really expect the Japanese guy to come over to Vince McMahon's fucking baby and become the champion and the face of the company?
Look what happened with Kenta, Hideo Itami. He came over with so much hype, and I couldn't even tell you what he's doing right now. Guys, I'll admit I'm not watching NXT as much as I used to. I used to be in every single week, but
you should be, because
I should start getting into it more.
It makes up for the rest of the week's
dreck. But like, oh my God, it's brutal sometimes.
Well, he bummed me out, but it was also partially his issue was he got injured right when he was starting to.
Yeah.
Well, he got injured, and then he also they buried him under the wave of Balor. It was one of those, like, he was good, and everybody was like, yeah, Hideo, celebrating him, and then he's like, oh, I need backup, I need help, so let me call in my friend. And then when Finn Balor came out, that was it. Bullet clubs all over the place, and Hideo is
goodbye.
The shadow.
I just thought Hideo came in with so much potential, and it got wasted.
He's way better now than what he was. He's actually in there doing what he did as Kenta.
That's good.
And I'm like, thank you.
I'm glad he took back the GTS.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, he's like, because he would tease it, and they're like, oh, he's never gonna do it. It was CM Punk's move. No, it wasn't CM Punk's move. No, it wasn't CM Punk's move. These I know in this universe bubble, CM Punk was the guy that did the GTS, but no, Hideo was the one that invented the GTS. He invented that high knee that Daniel Bryan does. It did. I'm sorry, he's retired. I don't even want to get into that. But
it's hard to tell. I think he's retired as far as WWE, but
I think
already said, like, 2018 when his contract's up, like, he's going to lay it out for them, like, look, put me in the ring or I'm walking. And I don't think he's got enough stroke for them to be to be like, no, please don't go. They'll maybe get one more offer towards him, like, oh, how about this, maybe a little more talking time, maybe something like that, get you on TV a little bit more, and he'll be like, no, in ring or no dice, and they'll be like, well, have fun.
Yeah,
we'll put you in the ring one more time because you're leaving, and we'll get you physically hurt.
I was like, if it's true, if what he was saying was true when he originally retired, like they're saying he had a lesion on his brain, and it was having seizures and stuff like that, for his safety, I wouldn't want him back in the ring.
Yeah, no.
But if that turns out to be like WWE's PR, saying, "Oh, this is why he's getting out of the ring," I don't buy it, and I'd love to see him back in the ring. But
they've got to have him on some kind of NDR to be like, if somebody asks you the truth, you can't tell them, even if it's just like what they said is true. You can't say anything.
But because he was going to like the best, sports physical concussion injuries people. And they were clearing him. They're saying, you're good to go. And WWE's doctors are saying, no, you're not clear. This isn't safe for you to be in the ring.
Yeah.
If it wasn't, it's like, I think they were like, okay, we finally have a way we can get this guy out.
Yeah.
We don't want him in this top spot. He's not the top guy, We can finally have a way to get him out of the ring and just got to get him away. We'll give him the general manager role, let him play around on TV for a couple months, and then the contract will come up and we'll get rid of him. But
yeah, there is always that conspiracy theory that he was too big, getting too big, and they were like, we need to stop this now.
Yeah, well,
good news is it's not going to happen again because you guys are very, very good at just fucking demolishing talent.
Look at Austin Aries. I brought him up earlier. Mm-hmm. Came in like a house of fire and was over in NXT. Comes up, they put him in the fucking cruiserweight division, which I liked the idea. I'm not as big a fan of it now. I think now it's just segment filler.
Yeah.
205 Live is a different story. I kind of like 205 Live.
I like it because it shows what they can do, but I just wish it would just show what they can do and not be like, you have a gimmick, act out your gimmick. Here's a storyline. Fuck the storyline. Just let him wrestle. That's probably why the UK thing has not gone anywhere yet.
Yeah.
Because they're like, how can we market these guys as gimmicks? You don't have to. If you do a damn thing to fucking Tyler Bate or Pete Dunne, I'm done. I'm fucking out of it. I will.
You know what their solution was to go have him defended at a different organization.
Yeah.
What did he go to? Progress, I think it was. Yeah. He went and defended the title there. Oh, that'll get him over. Go into a show that nobody in the WWE bubble knows about.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes I wonder. Like half of me is like, oh, this company's gonna be great when Triple H takes over. And then the other half of me is like, this company's gonna go on the fucking ground when Triple H is over because he has so many great ideas, and then so many ideas were just terrible.
Yeah, I don't even think his worst ideas are that. I mean, as long as he avoids Evolution era Triple H ideas where he has a faction that takes over the company for 5 years straight, we'll be okay. Of course, I'm tired of I was the biggest fan of factions as I was growing up and always wanted one back when I used to wrestle. Just always factions are the coolest things, and I'll admit, Four Horsemen started that, and that's my bread and butter. But fucking NWO was really what made that a thing. Being in a faction was cool, and then you have the what the hell, the Radicals, the new whatever they were.
The Radicals, yeah.
Yeah.
Eddie, Perry, Dean, and the guy whose name we won't mention.
Yeah.
I think if you say his name three
Stephen
times,
Richards. That was
Stevie Richards. Yeah. Chris Benoit. Crispin Benoit.
Yeah, Crispin Benoit. And those guys, and I'm like, factions are awesome, but now I'm like, I'm kind of sick of them. Even though they don't really have that many, I'm kind of sick of them because I just think the allure is gone. Anybody can team up. Of course, I say that, and now we've got an ROH faction building up on NXT with
oh my God, yeah,
Adam Cole.
I was so happy he signed.
Red Dragon. See, my thing is, I'm way behind on him. I'm only just now starting to get into Kenny Omega is the greatest fucking wrestler on the planet territory. That I've missed the Adam Cole train. I didn't even know anything about the guy. I heard he's great. But
I'm not a New Japan person. It's just not anything I've ever gotten into. I probably should because from what I'm hearing, it's fantastic.
It's great as long as you can ignore the language barrier.
Yeah. But that match they had in January, that Meltzer, whatever his name is, gave 6 stars to. Kenny Omega and
Okada.
Yeah. I sat and watched that match, and that was the first time since Michael's Undertaker won at 25 where I was just like, whoa, had me in it. It had me, those, whew, like I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it right now.
That's when you know it's a good thing. And I get that way with most of Omega's matches. Not all of them, but most of them. Because there's some that I walk into knowing damn well this is not going to go this way. But then others where it's like, it does. And once he gets into that thing where it's like, we're trading, here's a shot, and then here's the, here's the V-trigger, which is just knee lift. And it's like that Seth Rollins needs to stop fucking using right fucking now.
Well, he can't use the pedigree anymore because he's not with Triple H. It made sense.
I think he should keep it.
I thought he should keep it too, but they're saying, oh, well, if he's not with Triple H anymore, he shouldn't be using Triple H's finisher.
Keep it and call it the fucking Kingslayer. You have money on the freaking table, and you're just going to toss it so that he can do this New Japan move to try to fucking mark out the smart mark.
Speaking of gimmicks, the Hardys. I fucking loved the broken gimmick.
I got into that way too late, too.
In TNA. Or Impact or GFW or whatever the fuck they're calling themselves this week. I love the broken gimmick. Then they come to WWE, and you're like, and Matt comes out, he's still got the blonde streak in his hair. You're like, oh, maybe they'll bring the gimmick back, and he's doing the delete sign and everything like that. But it goes nowhere. It's like either if you're gonna settle and get your deal, and you're gonna be able to use the gimmick, use it or don't use it.
Yeah.
But I hate the in between where he's obsolete and delete, and I don't.
His first time on commentary, after they'd come back, it was funny to listen to him because you could hear him try really, really hard to get rid of that. Like, the accent would still come out every now and then, and the way he enunciated words would be that way. I was happy because then, like, I think it was a week later, he was on commentary. He was right back to North Carolina, this is the way Matt Hardy's always sounded. Except for when something happened to make him laugh, and then he goes, I'm like, still there. I mean, mind you, that's been his life for over a year and a half, so I get it.
It's a money gimmick. If they can get the WWE machine behind it,
they're fighting for it.
But give the Hardys complete control over it, like TNA did. TNA gave the Hardys a lot of leeway with that gimmick, and it was printing money. That was the only thing was making me watch TNA because everything else at that point was god awful. And I stopped watching TNA since then. Every time I try to get back into it, I'm just like,
I can't. The roster died.
It's just, I don't like it. I thought when Dixie Carter kind of went away, and they gave the power back to Jeff Jarrett that things would change, but
no, it's Jeff Jarrett.
It's like,
I was watching them because when I was first starting to try to make this a thing, I was like, we got to be open. We can't be strictly WWE. We got to be, let's watch Impact. So I'd record them, and then I'd watch them. When it was AJ Styles' last thing, where it was like, here's your last match against Magnus, and you have to beat him. But if you can't beat him, you're done with the company. We're tearing up your contract and everything. You lose, you're out. Or you win the belt off of Magnus. And then you've got the entire back emptying when we have people coming out galore to fight AJ, and because the ref is also in Dixie's pocket, nothing's happening. He's not stopping him. He's basically wiping off his shoes or looking up at the ceiling whenever a new guy comes in to beat him up, and then another guy comes in to beat him up, then another guy comes in to beat him up, and he kicks out of finishers and everything. People are like, oh my god. I'm like, how is this drama to you people? I'm like, this stopped being drama 3 entrants ago, and this is now insanity.
That's because the Impact fans, it's a stop on when you're in Universal Studios. Like, oh, we'll stop in and we'll watch a wrestling show, and they'll tell us when to cheer and they'll tell us when to boo. I'm sorry, if they aren't, then the fans are the stupidest fucking people I've ever seen. If they're not being told when to cheer and when to boo, because I started recording it when Jeff got back control. I'm like, okay, maybe it'll get a little bit better. Then I saw fucking Brother Love on TV or Bruce Pritchard or whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, they still don't get it. They still don't get it.
I mean, they deserve to go the way of WCW because they made all the same fucking mistakes.
Yeah.
You have the X Division or the Cruiserweights. You have the talent in your mid-card that is making a name for you. And then your main event is wash-ups that do not want to let it go. And then you go and build up the wash-ups.
Sting.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry. I just got a cough there. Hogan.
And then they come out with the Monday Night Mafia, and they're like, this is going to make us money. It's the fucking NWO 2.17 at this point. You have remade that 100 times. That's what kept me away from Kenny Omega and the Bullet Club. Because everybody's like, it's the Bullet Club. It's great. I'm like, it's the NWO in Japan. But it's a new...
Too sweet. That's not the click sign. That's just too sweet.
Yeah. But they got it. They legitimately have, like, they got the word from, the Click that they could use it.
Yeah.
And everything, which, and it's fine. I don't give a damn about that. I don't want to celebrate it. Like, again, this is self-awareness here, people. This is not the greatest thing to happen to wrestling, like it's something that's never happened to wrestling. Black and white has been a fucking takeover staple of wrestling since the NWO.
Yes,
and that's
the mid-90s.
98. Mind you, I was there for when all that shit happened.
Yeah, me too.
When Hogan turned, my jaw hit the floor. I was like...
You're like, yeah, that's not supposed to happen. Wait a minute. Hogan's supposed to be the good guy and come out.
I was well over him at that point.
Oh, I was over him when he signed with WCW. Yeah. He comes in and has the matches with Flair that WWEF, whatever they were at the time, dropped the ball. Dropped the ball on. Should have been a main event of WrestleMania. Would have printed money to have the face of WCW versus the face of WWE. And dropped the fucking ball. But that's what they do. That's what they do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But then, and then that went and got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it devoured it.
Yeah, everybody on the roster was in an NWO because
when your faction is so big, you have to split it into 2 factions.
And then that got split into 4.
Yeah,
and then we've got the Latino World Order. It's like, oh my God, no! You got a good idea here, but. Yeah, again, it was people that just had no stake in the game. They got those no-cut contracts. It's, whatever.
Yeah, here's $1 billion, and all you have to do is come out and hold up the sign and bury the good talent.
Yeah.
Mind you, I can't hate on them completely because they had a lot of people in there. Like, Scott Norton may not be on my Mount Rushmore, because to make a Mount Rushmore of wrestlers for me, I'd have to put, 6 of them together.
Yeah.
I could not pick, 4. It would be damn near impossible. That's the other reason why I have the notebook of things that I write down. That's where I keep my my top 5s, because I'll never remember. Yeah. It was a miracle that when Bacon and I did it, I actually could think of things to go with right there. Of course, I felt bad for not telling him. I'm like, you can pick the same things I pick. You don't have to pick something different just because he was all flipped out at the fact that I picked the 4 Horsemen theme from WCW. I was like, so pick it. You can pick
we can agree.
You don't have to pick ones all completely different than what I do. I knew there were ones that I was going to pick that he wasn't going to agree with.
You talk about top 5 factions. Horsemen are always going to come up. It's like, it's okay to be agreeing with somebody. Yeah. Oh man, I want to get back though. Can I get back? Because I want to keep. Because I thought staying in my head too long, it becomes a problem.
That's good because mine disappear.
Alexa Bliss.
Oh yes, yeah. Oh, that's always in the back of my mind, though. So,
but for different reasons. When she first came to NXT, and she came out with that fairy dust and blowed the fairy dust, I'm like, oh my God, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this shit again. No, I dealt with that fucking Spirit Squad. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this again. And then
I was having Becky Lynch flashbacks. Honestly.
Yeah, Becky Lynch, another underutilized talent, but then she turns with those 2 guys whose names I can't remember. Gunner and Murphy, I think their names were.
Oh my God, what was it? Blake and Murphy. The ones with the weirdest dubstep intro ever that somehow managed to get over.
But she turned heel, and she has become so good at being a heel.
Oh, yeah.
She has learned how to shut down the what chants, which everybody should be in the back should be watching, figure out how it does. Because they go, what? And she goes, oh, I'll tell you what. And she just keeps going, and she'll shut them down. And it's like, oh, I'm so, she was like, when I first saw the fairy dust and everything, I'm like, ew, mid-card at best, gone in a couple of years. Now she's up at the top,
Where she should be.
Yeah,
I think she should be having feuds with Sasha, not trading back and forth, like a legitimate feud. But no, we got to go back and forth and back and forth.
Sasha.
We got to get rid of fucking Nia Jax.
No, she's the Rock's cousin. She's protected.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
She's bulletproof.
I don't have anything against her. I just think the problem is, I'm like, you have a this is if Brock Lesnar was on 205 Live, is what this is.
Yeah.
She is 3 times the size of everybody in that fucking division, except Charlotte and Tamina. That's it. She outweighs and outmuscles all of them. It makes no goddamn sense for any of them to have a belt. You're going to tell me that, Little Miss Bliss is going to survive 5 seconds against Nia Jax, and now she's in a feud with her? I'm like, Nia's going to go, and show's over.
Yeah.
That leg drop would literally make her look like a used tube of toothpaste. Yeah. There's no reason at all to be like, this is a logical feud. No, it's not. Get rid of her. Yeah. And bring in Jazzy Gabbert because she's a fucking Mae Young. Sorry. I don't know if you've watched any of the Mae Young classics.
I haven't yet. I've been that has been on my list. But
You got because the next episode's of it tomorrow.
Yeah, well, it's working third shift. It's kind of hard to sit down and watch anything. These are like my days off, so I'm like, all right, I got shit I gotta do. I gotta watch this. I gotta come. I'm doing the podcast this week. I gotta get in there.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure I'm up to date with everything, so I'm not like falling behind.
I almost said, I'm like, by the way, we're going to talk about the Mae Young Classic, so watch it. But I was like, I don't want to
overload me.
The last time I gave homework, my fucking co-host at the time was like, I don't feel like doing this. I'm like,
that's the whole point. No, but I definitely want to watch them, and I probably will start watching when I get back, especially because I got JR on there.
Yeah,
I love the fact that they brought JR back.
I like him, but I got to be honest with this show, he's not as good as he could be. Not because of something silly like he doesn't pronounce the names right. It's honestly just the chemistry. The chemistry with him and Lita just doesn't
I don't understand why Lita was commentary. I think they should put Renee Young on there. When she was in NXT doing commentary, she was not doing a bad job. she was holding her own for somebody that this wasn't her business. A couple years ago, she was working with some sports company in Canada somewhere. And now, but she's taken over this business. She's like the face of like the commentary, announcing, whatever you want to call it.
She should be, because she's phenomenal. I mean, she gets a little. There are points where it's a little bad, like when they did the Talkin' Smack after SmackDown pay-per-views, and people like I'm drawing blank on names. Kevin Owens and The Miz are in there, and they'd like lean over and they just pour their gimmick onto her, and she's just kind of sitting there like while they're just terrorizing her. I'm like, I hate that because she looks dumb, but otherwise she's fantastic. And that's them. That's just them being like a giant ball of charisma that you can't avoid, even if you try to.
Yeah, it's just.
But yes, I agree. They shouldn't be in the. I think she would have done well in that position, considering the pre-show stuff is just bunk anyway. So she deserves so much better than that.
Yeah, I don't
keep Byron Saxton and them on there.
I don't watch the pre-show. Honestly, I don't watch the pre-shows of anything.
Apparently I should have for SummerSlam, because apparently the best match of the night was on that.
Yeah, I don't.
The freaking tag match. I was like, oh good, I'm glad to know that was great, because I skip those because the pre-show usually has bunk, like in the case of King Neville and Akira Tozawa having a match where Neville got the belt back again. I'm like, can we stop with the fucking hot potatoes, please? If you're going to lose it...
Especially with the women's belt on Raw. Sasha Banks wins it back again, and you're like, oh, maybe they're actually going to give her a run. Just kidding. We're just going to drop to Bliss next week.
Oh, because we needed Bliss to get turned on by your best friend. I'm like, can we just ignore the buffles for a little while and just work on what fucking matters? The two women who are fighting over the belt. I don't care about the fact that people are like, yeah, and then Sasha can turn heel, and then she can have a great feud with Bayley. That's future. I don't want to think that far into the future, because they're going to fuck it up again with Bayley anyways. Because they keep fucking it up.
Well, with Bayley, absolutely. And with Banks.
Yeah.
Banks and Bayley both break my heart, because they are totally great workers. Bayley I've been watching since NXT. Mm-hmm. Watched her grow and grow and grow and grow to where she is now.
I will go on record to say, I hate that gimmick. I have hated that gimmick. But she is phenomenal in the ring.
The gimmick is shit, but the fucking matches she has are great. Oh, yeah. And Sasha, I go either way with the boss gimmick. I mean, when she did it with Snoop at WrestleMania a couple years ago, I thought that was kind of cool. But I'm yet to see a bad Sasha match. With anybody. She had a match with Nia Jax that turned out halfway decent.
Yeah, that 15-minute one where after Nia had squashed everybody else,
Yeah, it's like,
she works great as an underdog, but she also works great as the superior one.
Yeah.
And I like the trade-off that is underdog with underdog, and just the size factor with her and Bliss when they wrestle each other.
Yeah.
Because I want to say it was Great Balls of Fire where Bliss broke out the fake broken arm gimmick.
I'm sorry, I legit for a second thought that she'd broken her arm. She is very good. She's got to be double jointed or something, because that arm was like, I was like, oh my god, they're showing that? That was like the Sid Vicious leg break off the top rope. I'm like, oh, don't show that.
Wasn't quite as it wasn't so much my stomach dropped to my toes, but it was definitely like I swallowed hard, and I think I felt like I had to ask Scott, because I was watching it with him. I'm like, am I pale? Did I go pale? Because I feel like I just ghosted for a second. Because as soon as I saw it, I was like...
And then all of a sudden, she just pops it back and drops a clothesline. I'm like, oh, that's brilliant!
Yeah, and then I could not stop laughing. Like, I cheered Scott with an empty beer bottle, because I'm like, fucking... Cheers to that. That was so good. She got me fucking great. And then I felt like an idiot because I looked at stuff online and found out she's done that like 6 times.
Oh, has she?
She's done it on TV.
I've never seen her do it before.
I thought it was the first time she'd done it. I was like...
crazy.
But then she's done it before, and I'm like, fuck. But that match, I mean, fucking, like, there were some of the, like, between that and, like, at least 3 bumps that Sasha took where I'm like, she's dead. That's it. Broken neck city. Goodbye.
She is going to be, like, she's like, almost like a Mick Foley type. When it comes to bumps, she just takes these insane bumps that I'm like, there's no way that your body's going to hold up to that.
Yeah, you take the thing with the grabbing the hair and snapping them back, dropping to one knee so that their back of their head and neck lands on your knee. Most people take that, they go flat back bump and crank their head up this way. Oh no, Sasha has to land back of her neck on the knee and then arch her whole body up from it, and it looks like she just took a serious spinal trauma.
Speaking of this next one where I'm going to talk about Mick Foley is not out of anger, is out of concern for him. He just had hip replacement surgery not too long ago. And then I see a video on Twitter of him with Joey Ryan, another gimmick who I think is fucking phenomenal. Does the cock thing with his... And
it's funny, but it's got a very low ceiling and very little window to work. Like, you're not going to make it in any of the big any programs.
But then Foley does a flip and does a flat back bump. I'm like, Mick, learn your goddamn lesson.
Yeah. It's not off the top of a cage at least, but Jesus Christ.
It's like, I like Foley, but he doesn't seem to know when enough is enough. He wanted to keep going. Like, the doctors told him 2012 he wanted to work the program with Ambrose. And the doctor said, no, you're done. Your brain, you just suffered too many concussions. He's like, well, I can work a match around my knee. It's like, no, that's not the point. The point is you should not be in the ring, falling flat back and taking a bump on your head anymore.
Especially considering it's all going to come flooding back to him. Like, hey, I used to do this to me. But, Mick, what about you? No, just go ahead, just do it. No, because you're going to die, old man.
He was going to do some stupid bump against that match with Ambrose. I'm so glad WWE stepped in and stopped that match.
Of course, especially considering it was going to be at least somewhat hardcore angled.
I was hearing Hell in a Cell.
Yeah. No more of those for Mickey, ever
That's
again.
what I was hearing. I was hearing Hell in a Cell between him and Ambrose at SummerSlam 2012. And I'm glad that it didn't happen because...
At that point, as Noelle Foley, I would have found a way to get on the cage and been like, you're not moving this thing.
I love Noelle. I hope she gets a job in WWE.
Yeah. The only reason I'm afraid of it is because I'm worried it's going to turn into you have blood that's been in the system for a really long time, so you're automatically going to be great. And I don't think that's right. Because there's ones that have nothing, and they're way better than some that, have.
Well, I think she could easily be like, if they're going to do like more women's stuff, put her on commentary and while she's working, because she can talk. If you see some of the interviews she does, she can talk. But like put her on the commentary and have her built, and while she's on commentary, have her training so that eventually, there's a feud where she gets called out on whatever, saying and she could have a decent match. But who knows? We're talking about Noelle Foley. I think that her and Mick should submit to a DNA test because I don't think there's any way that's his daughter. I'm sorry. I love Mick to death, but there's no way.
I was gonna say, when you look like a almost 6-foot garden gnome and then your offspring is that.
I mean, his wife's pretty good looking, but you don't get that much of it from your mother. Oh man. Speaking of scripted events, the Mayweather McGregor fight.
Oh. I don't know. I almost broke a TV over this one. So.
Oh my god, that 9th round! I'm at a friend's house watching this, and the 9th round comes. McGregor has Mayweather in the corner, and he is throwing punches, and the announcers are going, "McGregor's hurt. Mayweather's hurt. Mayweather's hurt." And then the fucking ref steps in and says it was a low blow. When is your stomach? When is your dick up near your stomach?
Yeah.
And then Mayweather tries to throw a punch around the referee. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And then they're showing the scorecards and they're showing Mayweather's winning rounds. I don't know much about boxing, but I do know that the aggressor wins the round. And in 9 out of those 10 rounds, McGregor was the aggressor.
The aggressor will win if the aggressor is landing. If you're just glancing blows off of like defense, you don't get as many points as you should.
But it was just like,
because if that was the case, you could win it just by going rock'em sock'em the entire round.
But I think McGregor had him in the 9th round, and I've had discussions with people and they've disagreed with me, and we've gotten into heated arguments about it, and I will fight till the death to say McGregor had him in that 9th round before that referee stepped in for no reason. Plus, Mayweather's whole fight, he's crouched over like this. It's like, how is McGregor going to do anything? I know Mayweather's, I'll give him his credit, he's the greatest defensive boxer ever. But fucking, that's not defense. That's just cowering so that McGregor can't hit you.
Unfortunately, it is defense because it's smart. You've got 2 areas where you can get hit, and if you can block them by putting the head against the body and blocking the sides while blocking your stomach, then you're gonna outdo anybody that isn't so precise with their angles. They can get wherever they need to get. But credit where credit is due. But on the same token, I just think it was a shitheel move.
Yeah, but he was doing it to try to get McGregor to take that UFC background and drop a couple hammer fists, which he did a couple times, and the referee stopped him.
Way too many. About the 3rd time he got into a clinch and started doing it, I'm like, fucking stop it! You're going to ruin this for yourself.
Oh, and then I read, this is kind of a funny thing, I read today in an article that when he got to the arena and was getting dressed, he realized McGregor forgot he left his cup at home. So he had to have somebody go back to his house and get his cup. Imagine if he had been fighting that whole match without his cup.
Yeah.
That would have been interesting.
No, the fight was, like, I think it was well worth the spectacle, and I'm not going to say I didn't enjoy it, because I had there was enough points where I was like, ooh, ha, ooh, oh, maybe, ha, ah, and everything, that it was actually, like, enjoyable. My thing is, I can't get over the bias of the ref. Actually, not even just the ref, the entire fucking arena. It was all against Conor, which may have led to some bullshit bias on my part, rooting for the underdog, but it just annoyed me to no end, and I'm like, this is a Mayweather-sanctioned arena in a Mayweather paid-for ring with a Mayweather-sponsored ref working a Mayweather boxing match against some schlub. And I'm like, that's so annoying. Plus, we start the whole thing off with, all right, everybody, you listen to me, my directions in the back. Now, I'm going to tell you again, Conor, don't do anything. Just stand there and take punches. Because if you do anything, I'm going to throw your ass out. Because this is his ring. I'm his guy. And you obviously are a demon that is going to come in here and just go Tasmanian devil around here with your knees and your fucking elbows and your takedowns and all of that. Don't be doing none of that grappling shit. We're not doing any grappling. Like, boxers do that shit anyways. Just because this guy's an MMA guy, you're automatically going to be like, none of that.
And I just want everybody that said McGregor can't box. He's a UFC fighter. He can't box. He's going to get... I watched a lot of Undisputed with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp, and that was Shannon's argument the whole time, is that McGregor can't box. Well, if he can't box, he can do a damn good impression of a boxer, because he held his own for 9 1/4 rounds. The 10th round, he was just out of gas.
I think he was losing it by round 7, but he was still able to at least make stuff count.
Yeah, but by round 10, he's just out of gas, and Mayweather's just pounding his face in, and then the referee stopped it.
Round 8, I was ready to, like, I had the towel on my shoulder.
Throw the towel!
And round 8, I'm spinning it around, getting ready to huck it in the ring, because I'm like, he's done. He can't fucking beat this. And then that bit where he he fucking hit him in the stomach and fucking crumpled him, and I'm like, fucking towel back over here, let's go.
He got him. I was sitting down, and when he got him in the corner and had him down, I jumped up. I'm like, yeah, he's got him. Keep going, throw him punches. And then the referee just gets in between him. He's like, no low blows. I'm like,
and then as Conor's trying to be like, yeah, okay, I got it. I know. I
got it. And then Mayweather throws the push.
Whoa. Ref, are you going to stop before you get him into the back, or are you going to keep woeing him out of the ring?
And then Mayweather tries to throw that pussy punch over the referee's shoulder. I'm like, oh, come on, Mayweather. You're better than that. But, hey, congrats to him. 50-0, 53-0 if you count the wives he's knocked out. But we'll just move on from that. We won't go too deep into that because...
Well, I mean, at least McGregor was a better boxer than they were.
So. Yeah. Those three didn't stand a chance. Though you want to talk about squash matches.
Yeah. It was just the overall bias of the situation. I even said on Facebook, I'm like, I knew going into it was going to be biased, and even seeing it, like, I'm still just flabbergasted with the overall level of it. That plus just the madness of let's not put an MMA guy on commentary. Although they did put Morrow on, and Morrow's
amazing.
Done that stuff, and he is amazing, and he was great to be like, how can you say that he didn't do anything when he did something and everything, and be like, what do you got to say about him now? He's obviously impressed the world and stuff. And I'm like, thank you, Morrow. We needed that. Now can we get a guy that is 90% MMA and very little boxing to make it fucking completely fair? Because we have the one MMA guy who knows a shit ton about both, and then we have boxing and boxing.
Yeah.
And the boxing pundits are coming up with as many excuses as they can.
Yeah.
It took me well over a week to really swallow the jagged pill that was that fight, to look at it and be like, okay, I can now devil's advocate for Mayweather more so, and even for the ref, in that, like, whenever they got close and they knitted up, even if it was for the reason of we don't want him doing any of that grappling shit, the second they got like nose to nose or like shoulder to shoulder, that ref was there immediately to be like, no, break it. And I'm like, he's doing his job. I cannot hate him for doing his job. What I can hate him for is the fact that he did his job, because if he had let him stay like that for just a half a second longer, Conor would have actually fucking done something.
Yeah. That's why I waited until this podcast to say something. I was gonna post something. I was gonna post something about that, but I was like, I'll save it because it was in the moment. I wanted to say, well, this was talk about the Montreal screw job. This was the Las Vegas screw job. Yeah. It was like, oh my god. But now in hindsight, McGregor, he showed he can box.
Oh, yeah.
Mayweather was the better boxer. So.
I will say, I use the term outclassed because it sounds painful, like it sounds like he was squashed, but he wasn't. But he was outclassed in that he's got the elbows, he's got the knees, he's got the kicks, he's got the throws and the submission game. Well, actually, he had fucking bullshit for a submission game, but he's still got, the grappling and all of that. He has many things, and his style of fighting has always been, if he's got hands up, it's one hand's up here or like this, the other hand's over here or over here or over here or down here. He's never this. He doesn't do this. That's a boxing thing, and that's where Mayweather just completely outclassed him. And he technically should have. But I don't think it's shit on either of the sports, because it wasn't CM Punk getting fucking embarrassed.
Oh my god, I wasn't gonna bring that up because I'm a Punk guy. I love Punk.
So do I. But
that was such a bullshit fight. I was like, ugh. And I'm sure he was heartbroken walking away with $250,000 for a minute of getting your ass kicked. Shit, I'll do that.
I mean, yeah, I think I'd take $250,000 and shut my Twitter off for a few months just to get over it. But the problem is now he's officially he's a punchline. Yeah. Now it's like when a fight goes completely lopsided and you had no business being in there, you are the UFC's, or you are the CM Punk of this scenario. Yeah. And that sucks, because that's a tarnish on like your legacy. But on the same token, like he's got anything to fucking prove. He did something that a lot of people can bullshit about, and as far as I'm concerned, he got in there and he did stuff. And I'd rather see a guy go out on his shield like he did than see the bullshit that is the nothing that Batista did.
I went on Twitter right after that fight. I know Twitter is fucking bullshit, but I said that he showed more courage than anybody, because he's a late 30s guy that had no experience and busted his ass with one of the best trainers, and he got his ass kicked. Yeah, big deal.
I think he's a purple belt in BJJ.
Yeah.
That's not going to get you anywhere against a brown, almost black belt.
Yeah. So it's like, he got his ass kicked, but you know what? He had the balls to try it.
It's the same thing with McGregor in that case. In that one, they're identical in that case. The only thing is, like, McGregor talks the talk and could back it up. But I mean, then again, CM Punk never talked the talk. He never once said, I'm going to go in there and he literally said, like,
I'm just going to give it a shot.
May the best man win.
I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to go up there. I'm going to try. And he busted his ass, and I hope he keeps training. I hope he gets a second chance. Yeah. I don't think it'll be in UFC. I don't think Dana White will
He has
do that
to.
again.
He's still contracted under them. He's supposed to have one more coming up in 2018, but who knows?
Yeah, Dana White said that he did. I thought I heard something about Dana saying
Dana said he didn't think he would, but
who knows? But I think if he gets a little bit more training, because he wasn't training with them very long because he had to stop because he had to have back surgery. So he could have, if he had like maybe a full training camp and not like, train, stop, I gotta have back surgery, train. And then he was training with the bad back. Who knows? He could have been training wrong.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm still a CM Punk mark. I'd rather have him. I hope he comes back one day.
I'd like to see him come back, but I'm like, what's he gonna do? I mean, he's lost his finisher because Hideo's there and uses it.
I don't know. I think he's going to... I want him to come back, but at the same time, I think it's going to be one of those Ultimate Warrior scenarios where he comes back 20 years later, way out of his prime, just to get inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I don't know. Not long... I don't know. Him and H don't get along very well. I think he has more respect for Vince than he does for...
Which is weird.
Triple H.
I mean, I suppose I get it because Triple H had to call him on his wedding day to tell him he was fired.
Yeah, that's a dick.
So, I mean,
that's a dick move.
Yeah.
I like Triple H. That's a dickish move.
Triple H has got, he's got 3 trophies up on his wall. One is the gold belt because he's held so many for so long. One is the gold sledgehammer because that's his thing. And the other is a gold shovel because he's not above burying people if he absolutely has to. And when he does it right.
Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely. Punk was on fire after Money in the Bank.
Mm-hmm.
And then Triple H says, oh, well, first they were going to put him in the ring with Kevin Nash, which, ooh, you want to talk about printing money? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a guy.
I know, I can't wait.
A guy with 2 bad knees that can barely walk, and he's going to get in the ring with a guy that is arguably on the hottest streak I've seen since, Stone Cold in the Attitude Era. And then fucking, oh no, Kevin Nash for some reason can't work the match. I don't know what happened. I don't know the whole story behind that. But Triple H is like, oh, I'll go in there and I'll show him how we work the WWE style, and beats him. And I'm like, no, if you're gonna be in the ring, then put him over. But
at the very least, quote unquote, make him look good, because the double standard of WWE's thing of wins and losses don't matter, while being all simultaneously being like, no, wins matter because you can't have this guy lose because if he loses, he looks bad and everything. It's like, but does he? And it's like, yes, he does. Wins and losses always matter. And whenever somebody is like, well, at least they came out of that all looking like champ, I'm like, I don't think they did. There's a lot of points where I'm like, I don't think they did. I went off on shortest podcast I've ever done, 22-minute ride home from Scott's house after watching Great Balls of Fire that I had to unleash. Because I was like,
I listened to that. I was like, wow.
I can't just let it ride out. I mean, I'm not going to praise it like it was some, tirade for of all ages. It was by no means a pipe bomb. It was just, I was bullshit because after everything and all the talk and, everything's so good, he goes and he just steamrolls him.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah, Joe beats the hell out of him for the entire match, and then Lesnar's just F5 pin. What?
And he put on a hell of a show. And my God, did he look good? And did you see how scared he looked afterwards? Like he actually had to grab the belt and back away. Like, oh my goodness, he's got to get out of here. He's so scared of Joe. And look at Joe. Joe looks angry as hell and everything. Like, if anything, Joe laying there like that looks like a no-sell.
So, but that's what I mean. 2 weeks prior on Raw, he puts Lesnar in the coquina clutch and chokes him out. Mm-hmm. At the pay-per-view, he puts him in the coquina clutch, and all of a sudden Lesnar has the superhuman ability to get out of it, put him in F5 and pin him.
Yeah.
It's like, well, no, you gotta have some consistency here.
Mm-hmm.
If the coquina clutch, either it knocks somebody out or it doesn't. It can't be both ways.
Yeah, it can't be, but it is because it's Brock. That's why I always go off on tangents about Brock. It's just, not to mention, I hate the fact that, we want to talk about building up the new breed and having, all these new guys come up, and then the people who get the people who are holding the belts right now only got to where they are because they're juiced to the tits. That sets a terrible standard for a company that wound up being in trouble for juice. Yeah. They went through so many goddamn steroid scandals, and then all of a sudden they had to be like, we'll let it slide this time. It's okay, because, look at him. He's a draw. Okay, maybe Brock is a draw. But what about Jinder? Jinder's not a fucking draw. Nobody gives a rat's ass. Nobody. And that's not even the shit on Jinder. It's not his fault.
It had a little bit of a shock factor with me when he beat Orton for the title. I was like, wow, really? They're going to put the belt on Jinder?
Yeah.
But that wore off pretty quickly, and I'm just like, oh, whatever. And then, we had that masterful Punjab prison match.
Oh, God. I don't even know how the fuck I slept, or I didn't sleep through that, is what I should say.
And then,
I sat through it.
And then the big finish. You know what we're going to have? This big finish. We'll have both of them trying to get out, and then we'll send the great Khali, who hasn't been in WWE in 3 or 4 years, out to interfere, and he'll win the match, and then great Khali will disappear again. It's like, I sometimes wonder if what their booking is like.
That was just to get the shot for the papers of Khali holding a belt. That was just what it was. To be like, look, over here in India, we love it. We love him so much. And look, here we go. Yeah. Get your claws out of there. Go slice the poor guy up.
I'm gigged. Yeah, no, I just...
My favorite thing was I wished I'd been live, like, recording reactions there, because as soon as he came out, I was like, Jesus, when did they dig him up?
That's because, the fact that he's running a pro wrestling school, I think, is the most ironic thing in the world. Great Khali is teaching people how to wrestle.
Yeah. And I was a little surprised, too, because one of his star pupils, like the first Indian female to wrestle in the WWE, comes in, and if I'm not mistaken, she lost in the first round of the tournament. And I'm like, well, that sucks.
Yeah,
I think she did. I think she was actually, I want to say she was one of the ones that they were, I think she's the second biggest one in the whole, like, setup. She was, I think, 6 feet tall, can deadlift 400 and some odd pounds. She's a brute, and she loses. But then again, I mean, and I had to eat my words because I was like, let's face it, if you are not the typical what we're looking for in WWE, if you're not, a hotsy-totsy woman, you're not winning.
They try to push the women's revolution. The women with the women, it's going to be all about wrestling. And then National Bikini Day shows up, and guess what? All the divas are wearing bikinis, and we're going to post them on Instagram and on our website because they're not really wrestlers anymore. They're sex objects when it's National Bikini Day.
Yeah, I mean they have come a long way from the whole divas thing, but
yeah, the minute and a half segment matches are gone, thank God. But
some of them they still have.
Yeah, they still do some of them, but not nearly as much. It used to be divas matches used to be the piss break.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said that about who the hell was it? I think it was actually. I was a little surprised to see the Naomi and Natty match, and I was like, well, that's the piss break match, I guess. And I was like, I enjoyed that match.
That was a good match.
But I enjoyed it because of Natty, because I
like
respect
Natty.
talent, and I don't care. I'm not about. It's not always for me about the sizzle. It's about the steak sometimes, and I think
she put up with a lot. She deserves that belt because she put up with a lot of shit. She put up with a lot of terrible gimmicks that Vince gave just to get a giggle out of.
You're gonna dance and be in a relationship with the Great Khali. Oh, and did we mention you pass gas a lot?
And you knock people out with your gas. Come on.
Is that's not enough.
That's when I understand. That's when I understand Bret Hart's anger.
Yeah.
Bret Hart is so angry and bitter towards Vince, and I can understand it.
Because at every turn he just fucking literally just rains hellfire down on the Hart family for any possible thing that he can, and it's frustrating. Although at least now he's given her the belt, and I think she deserves it. And I honestly think she deserves to run with it a little bit, and I'm hoping that they don't just bury Carmella because they gave it to her. But I'm also hoping they don't just give Natty the chance to defend the title once and then cash in, lose it. Done. Here's your contract.
I was so disappointed. I was disappointed with the female Money in the Bank match. I thought it had so much more potential. And then that fucking Ellsworth, who, I'm sorry, his 15 minutes of fame are up. If they need to either do something with him or get rid of him because I'm not interested in him anymore.
Get him in some gear and get him in the ring, or get him to fuck off my TV because I have no fucking time for that chinless lunatic.
He goes up and grabs the briefcase and then hands it to Carmella, and Daniel Bryan's like, no, we're not going to have you this way. We're going to have a rematch. And then Carmella goes up and wins again. Okay, so what was the point of that?
Yeah. I'm like, you got the heel heat. Honestly, I think it was her promo afterwards, the promo when she won the briefcase that did it. Because there's this, it's a constant rumor, and it's always going to be a rumor because he'll never verify it. But there's a rumor that Vince will change his mind about the way storylines go, sometimes as soon as a half an hour before the event starts. Or maybe an hour before the event starts. Which
was what killed WCW, by the way. The last second changes and the creative control and all that bullshit. But I don't know. It's just it's like a drug sometimes. It's like I love it, but it's goddamn. Sometimes I'm just like, I can't handle it anymore.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I would rather that it be good because then that way I could celebrate it, or if I'd rather it be bad because then I have more to talk about. Because if it's good, there's only so many times I can be like, it's good, it's really good, guys. You got to see this, it's really good. That's the thing that sucks about talking about New Japan, because I'm like, it's great.
Yeah, there you go. It's great.
End of story.
It's on
6-second podcast. It was fun.
Yeah, did you have fun with that?
Yeah. Let me tell you all the things that I love about New Japan.
Everything.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, see you later. Next week, guys.
Of course, I have certain people whose names I will not mention, Scott, that think that my podcast, Scott, should probably be shorter, Scott, and I should stick to the stuff that is not the filler, the bullshit. I
Scott.
should just, keep it that way.
No, I enjoy it personally. These are one of my, because you know what it's like. We've both grown up wrestling fans, and sometimes it's that taboo subject you don't talk about because everybody's like, oh, it's fake. It's fake. I said the F word. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But it's like, you don't get a lot of chances to talk about this shit. I enjoy sitting down. I enjoy sitting down and talking about it. So I'm glad that stuff like this exists.
I want to get to the point where I can at least print a shirt because I've got a design done up that's just some muscle head with spiky hair with a fucking affliction shirt pointing at a very, very negative stabbing finger. It says, hey, that shit's fake, bro. And that I want that, and then whatever I end up coming up with for the Muta Scale logo, because that's always my favorite thing. Is that's the first argument. That shit's fake, right?
Yeah. Yeah. In the movie, Tom Cruise really jumped from that helicopter and landed and lived. He really did that.
But then they're always like, it's a fantasy. We go into the fantasy knowing that it's fantasy and knowing that it's fake. I go into wrestling knowing that it's fake.
I know. I watch wrestling knowing full well that when those guys go into that ring, they know, okay, we have this long. This is what we want for the finish, and now this is who's going over. Mm-hmm. So what?
I like the athleticism, and I like the storylines. When the storylines suck, I rest on the athleticism. The problem is, a lot of times with WWE, both suck.
Yeah.
I'm like, when you don't have athleticism, nor do you have good storyline, I can't help you. I can't do anything for you. The one thing I can do for a favor for any of us is I can turn off my fucking subscription and go watch something else.
Yeah. That's the thing. I don't know about you, but I love the WWE Network. I'm not just saying that as a plug. I'm just saying, because, sometimes...
Buy the network for $9.99.
Yeah. Buy it, damn it. Vince voice. I love it. But they have so much great content. I'm addicted to the Legends of Wrestling, that in the archives there. Just watching legends sit around and shoot the shit about wrestling, especially the ones Flair's are on, because Flair doesn't give a fuck. He's either drunk or he just doesn't give a fuck when he's on there. He blatantly mentions TNA in one of them, and it's like what's TNA? I love Flair. I'm glad he's getting better. I'm glad he's on the mend, because I can't imagine living in a world without Nate.
No, that will be one of the that'll be the single greatest loss to the wrestling world since Dusty.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm still here, baby.
I love Dusty. You can tell that he's missed in NXT. There's a big gap there since he left. Yep. Although I got to give credit to I can never remember his real name because they gave him so many fucking names in WWE. A-Train, whatever his real name is.
Oh, John Tenta? I think his name is?
Something like that.
Tenta? I can't remember.
But he has done a good job as taking over the trainer after they got rid of Bill DeMott.
I was a little disappointed to find out that Bill DeMott was, in fact, that much of a jerk. I was like, it's got to be just one of the...
It's one of those rumors that goes around, you know?
Whatever, he's a coach. Coaches do that. How many coaches do you think on high school and college and pro teams are like, you need to stop playing like a girl. You need to start actually playing the goddamn game. Are you going to play the game or are you going to have your period? Things like that.
Yeah.
It's going to happen, and I'm not saying that it's necessarily a good thing, but I'm saying I could really give a shit less about what goes on in the locker room in that case. If it's not physical violence and it's not like a rape or something that really violates people, I don't give a damn. But on the same token, if he legitimately was shitting all over somebody because he was homosexual, then we got a problem, and that's stop the train on the tracks, because that's when it gets too far into that area. If he's common for being like, oh, you did this like that, you pretty little faggot, okay, yeah, that's a bit much, but that's not that big of a deal if the guy is not genuinely homosexual. And that's not me saying the word is good, go ahead, use it, everybody just drop it like crazy. I'm just saying that in the situation of people are different from different areas, from different age groups, words mean different things to them. So if he's using it in the context of just using it because it's in his zeitgeist, we can't fire a guy, end a guy's livelihood for that. Now, if he's using it as a legitimate diss to somebody that it genuinely affects, then we got a problem, because then you're getting into serious harassment and issues like that. Of course, this is kind of... I went off on a completely irrelevant tangent there.
No, that was good.
It's good to see that Tenta is, in fact, doing good things now that...
Oh, Jason Bloom. That's his name.
Oh, yeah, that's
Bloom.
Right. Who the fucking... Oh, my God.
Tenta's
Earthquake.
Earthquake, yeah.
Holy fuck, where did I go?
I was like, Tenta, that sounds like Earthquake. I don't think it's right. No,
Earthquake's
really
doing great things. I think he's dead.
Earthquake's doing... Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is.
I don't think he is, but he might be. He is now.
Yeah, if he wasn't before, he is now. But no, Bloom has done a great job.
Tenta, shout out on the Muta Scale.
Yeah. He's going to show up at your house next week. He's like, oh, what was this about me being dead? And then he was the Shark in WCW because he was Hogan's friend, and Hogan, Hogan protects his friends. Yeah, anyway.
Try to kill him.
There's another one I want back. I want Hulk back.
How dare you?
I know. I don't want him back wrestling. But he's good PR when he's not,
dropping N-bombs while he's plowing somebody's wife.
Yeah, when he's not doing that, he's good PR because
he's great when he's not an asshole.
Yeah. But I think that was a rough point in his life. I mean, he was going through a divorce. Now, I'm not making excuses for him. He's a man. He said what he said. Mm-hmm. But, he was going through a rough time of his life. And when we're going through rough times, sometimes we say stupid shit that we want to take back.
I can't imagine ever having that kind of a discussion while in the throes of passion. But, I mean, whatever. I mean, you do you.
I can't imagine talking about my daughter while I'm...
yeah.
But, hey...
I can't imagine plowing another man's wife.
Yeah, well, apparently she was cool. Apparently she was cool with it. Apparently she's been doing it with a lot of Bubba's friends.
There you go.
But I mean, I was watching. They had a video on. He posted a video on his Facebook the other day of like a meet and greet that he has at his beach shop down there in Florida. And there's kids in wheelchairs and there's kids in that. He's an inspirational guy.
I was gonna say he's a fucking icon.
So
and the fact that he won the thing, like basically, and it doesn't hurt that he has thousands of former, employees and coworkers and things from the business all talking, like he would never do this. Like he's not that type of person.
You've got people like you got Virgil, you've got who was the other one? Kamala. Kamala comes out and Kamala went against the Undertaker because he was pissed that him and Undertaker weren't getting the same pay for their SummerSlam match. Mm-hmm. And he's saying that Hulk Hogan's my brother until he decides not to be.
Yeah.
And then but I don't know. I would just like to see him back just because he's Hulk Hogan. He's what pro wrestling was, and hopefully always will be.
I think you'll find come Royal Rumble or WrestleMania period, he's probably going to find his way back.
I hope so.
I think it's just they're waiting for the embers to quiet down and for the smoke to be done. So that way, while everything's cleared and everybody's kind of forgotten about it.
Yeah. And then he'll come back, and it might come back up for a couple weeks. Like, well, why would WWE rehire this guy? He's a racist, and he's all this kind of thing. I'm like, but then what a double standard though it would be if they don't bring him back because you keep him, you get rid of him, but you keep JBL, who's the biggest. I'm sorry, he's the biggest bully in this business. Oh yeah, he pretty much attacks Morrow to the point that Morrow has another mental breakdown. The poor guy's got bipolar disorder as it is. And you bury him because he's proud he got ranked in some top 10 list, and I don't know. I like JBL, and at the same time I hate him because but he's Vince's boy, so
I just don't think he benefits the company in any way to be around. He really doesn't. We've got way better things. I mean, just way better people on commentary. And I mean, if we get rid of him, that might be a good chance for other people to start to shine a little bit more.
Corey Graves. He's become a phenomenal.
He's my favorite. He's my favorite on
phenomenal commentary. I thought he was okay as a wrestler. I only got.
I barely watched
him because he was he was on NXT for when it first launched on the network for a couple weeks, and then he had suffered a concussion, and WWE rightfully got him out of the ring because you don't want long-term damage. But they're like, we'll put you on commentary and we'll give you a shot. And I'm like, and to start out, he was kind of rough, but he'd gotten a lot better. And when it was him and Saxton on Raw, and Bayley would come out, and he would just bury Saxton for being a Bayley fan. It was some of the funniest stuff I've ever seen.
All of his bits about Elias Sampson murder me. He's so good with that.
And him and Enzo.
Yeah.
Oh God.
His digs at Enzo were surprisingly not as good. Corey Hart. Yeah, that's it. Corey Graves was he was in my upper echelon anyways, just for being as good as he was. But as soon as you referred to Elias Sampson having the musical stylings of a pigeon getting run over or something like that, I can't remember the exact word, but it was immaculate.
I hate that.
Oh, yeah.
Can I just say that?
Yes.
I hate that.
I'm glad somebody else does.
I'm like,
will you put the daggers away?
I was like, I was kind of interested in the beginning when he was just walking around and just strumming the guitar. But then it's he's a drifter. He's a drifter, but all of a sudden he can get a stool in the center of the ring with the spotlights all on playing his guitar. I'm like, wait a minute, he's a drifter. How can he all of a sudden have a stage? Dog's trying to go over on you here.
Yeah. You are such a butthole.
Dog wants to make your podcast debut. His podcast
Oh,
debut.
he was on the one with Bacon. A couple of points where I'm like, oh God, he let the beast in. Oh no. That was him. That was this big lummox.
Oh God.
Getting involved.
Oh
You need
man.
attention. That's your problem.
Man, there's nothing wrong with that.
Really? Get out of here. All right, so now that we're back and the fucking dog's back inside, we're supposed to be.
we had a dog hunt, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, but I came in just in time to get the hot tag and go in for the finish.
Yeah, you really
there.
did. I went all the way to the back to find the guy, and
all I do is come out and say his name once, he comes running in. Oh, hot finish.
stubborn fucking mule. All right, so I think what we'll do now is we'll break into, since I've done a top 5 best theme songs and I've done a top 5 worst theme songs, I'd like to get your take on top 5 worst, top 5 best, and everything, and we can kind of riff on that if
sounds good.
Need be. So, which would you rather do?
Worst or best?
Yeah.
I think I'm better with picking worst.
Okay.
So
yeah. Unfortunately, that's the way the society is nowadays. It's way easier to be like, you know what I hate?
This sucks.
You know what I really like? I have no idea. I don't actually know.
Because I can easily riff off top 5 something I hate. It'll take me a minute of thinking to do my top 5 best. So what's the top 5s?
Yeah, do top 5 worst.
Of what? Theme songs?
Yeah, theme songs.
Theme songs?
And no rule or regulation as to like from era or anything like that. Just like yeah.
Theme songs. Wow. Theme songs. Tough to think of. Top 5. I know we're going with worst. I gotta go with oh my God, it's blanking on me. My brain's not working. God, there's so many bad ones I could think of.
You do have the ability to, if like you come up with one and then after you start thinking, think of one that is actually like, oh, that actually should, that I'm taking this one out and putting this one in.
Yeah.
Because I had to do that. I don't remember what it was. I changed somebody's for somebody's, and I need my notepad because I do not remember.
Well, if we're talking worst, and I'm not, and for worst, I don't even think I think the theme song was bad, but I think the overall gimmick was bad too. Was Spirit Squad. I didn't like the gimmick at all. I thought it was stupid. I was like, how is this gonna get over? And one of the few times I'm happy that Triple H and Shawn buried it.
Yeah. I mean, I felt bad for those 5 guys. But...
Yeah. And then all of a sudden they try to bring Kenny back and make him like a star, and it's like, no, wait a minute, Triple H just buried you. You're too far undergone. Yeah. Come back. Yeah, but I hated the theme song.
But we still have Ziggler, so.
Oh, Ziggler, yeah, Ziggler. We kind of have Ziggler. I don't know.
Yeah.
I could go into a whole other hour about Ziggler, and it would involve a lot of cuss words and yelling.
Yeah.
Because I think he's another, not as bad as Cesaro, but another one that is greatly talented, terribly underutilized.
Oh yeah. They gave him his one push, and after that.
And his push wasn't even really a push because he won the match because Sting came in and helped them. Oh, that's another one. Sting's WWE music. Sounded like they just went into like a library and said, "Give us this dark music," and that's what. Dun 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 dun. It's just it was terrible. I hated it. One that I hated, and I'm still not crazy about, but I've kind of warmed to it over the years, is Shane McMahon's. I when it first started, I was like, oh, that's so cheesy just to go for the money because he's McMahon's son, he's loaded and all that. But I've kind of warmed to it over the years.
I'm sort of neutral. It fits him, so I'm okay with it. It doesn't necessarily I think I'm so over it that it doesn't affect me anymore. I'm completely neutral. Like whatever, it's there. It is what it is. It has to be there. It's just like the original, the No Chance. I'm like, that song's worn out, but I don't care.
It's the only time I've ever seen a theme song from a pay-per-view become somebody's theme song
Yeah.
for wrestling.
Yeah.
That's just... I hated that era too when they would come out with like all of them would come out with that, so you never knew who was coming out. Like you would say, the no chance thing. You're like, oh, maybe it's gonna be Vince, and then no, it's Shane. And then when they wrestled each other at X7 for WrestleMania, and they both came out to it, it was like,
yeah,
what is this?
That's probably why they decided he needed his own theme song.
Oh man, I hate Cena's theme song only because it's so overused. He's had it for so long. It's just I can't stand the sound of it anymore. What is that? That's 4. I think 3 or 4.
I'd say that's 3. Yep.
3? Okay. For some reason, I said I couldn't pick the worst, but I've got the 5 best in my head, and I'm trying to think of the worst now.
Well, that's good, because that means you can go home with it and actually have it work out.
Let's see. I hate Daniel Bryan's theme song, Flight of the Valkyries. I hate it. I don't think it fits him at all. I think it was just, we'll do this to him as a rib, and it somehow, well, it got over just because he's over.
Yeah.
No matter what Vince and Triple H say, he was over. And worst of all was William Regal's Real Man's Man. Like when he was wrestling Daniel Bryan on Superstars, and all of a sudden they cut out his theme song and they started playing the Real Man's Man, and he just has a smile on his face because he's just like, oh, that's a terrible rib.
Yeah,
it was a terrible gimmick, but terrible gimmick for a great guy.
Yeah,
I love William Regal. He should be, and he's the number 1 guy, I think, best superstar that never held a championship.
Yeah, because he really didn't do anything, but he's always been good.
He's a solid, stiff worker, which is just, that's the kind of style I like.
I like it, but I'm only a little annoyed with it nowadays because it's almost becoming too much of you have to be it, and that to me takes away. It's the same thing with all the Flippy McGillicuddies. The more high flyers you have, the less exciting a high flying style is. The more stiff workers you have, the less. I'm now at the point where I'm like, I like a Zack Sabre Jr. style guy that will tie you up into knots and that's what I love about the Bruiserweight, fucking Pete Dunne, and the fact that he'll hook a limb and he'll pull and then he'll start working different joints.
You can see him actually working them.
Yeah, and I'm like,
I did watch the United Kingdom one tournament. That was.
I wished I'd watched the whole tournament instead of just catching the end of it.
Yeah,
but I came into it late because I didn't know. I'll be honest, I had no idea who anybody was, so I didn't give a shit.
Yeah, no, those UK guys came out of nowhere, but it ended up being a pretty good tournament.
Yeah. Tyler Bates fantastic, and that kid's only 21 years old.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't believe he looks that solid, and he's that put together, and he's that goddamn good.
And he's
21.
that young. Yeah.
He's either going to crash really hard or he's going to just blow the lid off of the deal.
Yeah, he'll be off that UK thing and he'll be on Raw.
Yeah. And then he won't have to worry about driving the train up the tracks. They'll just do it for him.
Yeah, exactly. All right, now the best, right? I think I got all 5 of the worst. Best, 5, I got to go with the DX theme song. Are you ready? And it's just... It gets you going. You're ready to go. You're like, all right, I'm ready to go. Let's do this now.
My thing is, I love them. I love them now, but when they were a thing, I hated them.
Yeah.
And as such, that mindset has never left.
Yeah.
So that DX's theme doesn't do it for me.
Yeah. I liked Cult Personality for Punk. Fit him perfectly.
Yeah.
Fit him perfectly. You wouldn't be expecting him, and then you hear, and then Cult Personality starts, and I'm like, yeah.
That is one thing he definitely had going for him, is the fact that he was able to use real.
Yeah,
songs.
he got them to get Cult of Personality being used, not some cheap knockoff like they did with other people. Like when you watch replays of WrestleMania and Triple H came out to For Whom the Bell Tolls, and then they cover it over on the network with some cheap Jimmy Johnson ripoff of it. It's like, oh, that's terrible. Why can't you?
Well, that was WCW's MO, was to take a song that was a song and then just rewrite it.
Yeah.
Fucking Diamond Dallas Page came out to a combination of... Actually, no, it was just straight Smells Like Teen Spirit. It was just not the same thing.
Yeah. Smells like Teen Spirit, but not really.
Ding, 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 ding. I'm like, oh, so we changed one chord and that changes the whole song?
Well, that's like the whole Vanilla Ice thing. We can get to that later. All right, so we've got... we had CM Punk, we had DX. I always loved Undertaker's American Badass second one, not the Kid Rock one. The You're Gonna Pay. You've done it now.
Oh yeah.
That I liked that because that was like, oh, you know who's coming out. He's coming out and he's gonna be ready to start kicking ass. And I thought that was gonna be a career killer when he went from full on like, dead guy to American Badass. I'm like, oh my god, he's killing his career. What is he doing?
I think it could have been if it wasn't for nobody's ever ridden a bike down to the ring like all the time, and the Undertaker's overall ability to just be made it. Plus, he did the right thing with the changing the character of. He changed the fucking gimmick around, and he changed a lot of what he did. He no longer did the tombstone as a thing. The chokeslam wasn't that common. He'd still do the old school, but then he started calling it the old school and stuff like that. He changed things up.
He gave himself the last ride.
Yeah. I'm like, you need stuff like that.
Yeah.
You do that. And I mean, I'm fucking Finn Balor. I'm looking at you. You need something to differentiate the two different faces. Otherwise, it's nothing.
Yeah. He's like, oh, Finn... Bray Wyatt's got his demons. Well, I've got my demons too. I'm like, really? That's how you're gonna announce that you're gonna be coming out with your war paint on?
Yeah.
Really? You gonna do any better than that?
And I'm gonna throw a fucking parentheses or a caveat in here. And thanks, phone. I appreciate that. I'm gonna throw the fucking just a quick pause for that. Is they booked that whole bit completely wrong. What they really should have done is it should have been Bray wins, and then Bray wins, and then Bray wins. And I'm not saying that because I'm a Bray mark, even though I am. Bray wins, Bray wins, Bray wins. Bray beats the brakes off of him to the point where he is such a mess that he can't beat him. So he has no choice but to tap into the demon. Not, I'm going to pick a fight with you. Well, I'm going to tell you I accept. Then I'm going to win a match. I'm going to splash some paint on you. And you're going to come out and be like, I'm the Demon King. Why? Why? Why did you even need to? Was it really necessary? And now we're going to be like, oh, well, the feud's still going. Is it? Is it really? Because the money shot just happened. I don't need to see you finish the fucking porno, then watch how it got to that point. I'm like, I don't want to see the end of the deed and then see the making out afterwards. That doesn't make any fucking sense, people. That is not how you write a fucking story.
I feel bad for Finn Balor because he was shot to the moon coming out of NXT. Comes the first Universal Champion, hurts his shoulder. Mm-hmm. Vince sees him. Oh, he's unreliable. He can't stay healthy. Mm-hmm. So now he's wrestling. I like Bray Wyatt, but he's not where
Bray Wyatt's an internet troll at this point, and I hate it because I love the guy. He's the first guy I've seen shut down the what? Because his talk, his cadence made it so you couldn't what? He wasn't like, I'm going to say a few things. What? And then I'm going to say a few more. What? He always had.
I loved the gimmick when it first started, but now it's become to the point like, oh, he's gonna be like this monster heel, but then he gets into the ring and he gets in he calls out the Undertaker for WrestleMania, and you're like, really? Why? You know he's gonna lose. Undertaker's not gonna lose to Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania.
Even though he fucking should, because you know who needed that rub? Bray Wyatt. You know who didn't need it? Brock goddamn Lesnar.
Or Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns,
and Roman Reigns didn't even really get a rub from it because it's like, oh, really? It's been done before.
Yeah, that's what I said. And that's when I said that kayfabe was dead, because legitimately, at the end of that WrestleMania, like, I was like, oh, I don't even fucking care. And Michelle's like, why? What's wrong with you? Like, what's the matter? I'm like, he's taking off his coat and his gloves and he's laying it all like...
He's going over and kissing his wife.
Some stupid fucking thing to make it seem like it's this big deal, like he's going to retire. Who gives a shit? I'm like, he retired fucking 3 years ago.
Do you think he retires? Do you think he comes back this year?
I think it depends on how the landscape looks when his surgery is done, and how desperate Vinnie Mac is for him. If Vinnie Mac's like, we really need that.
Yeah, like Vince is looking at the card and it's like, oh shit, we need somebody. Call Mark, see if he'll work for one night, and then we don't even have to use him. You don't even have to show up on Raw or anything. Just show up at WrestleMania, do your thing, and then you can go away again.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what he did at WrestleMania with Bray Wyatt. He didn't appear at all. He accepted the challenge through the Titantron, because that's supposed to be intimidating, and then shows up at WrestleMania and then disappears for a couple months.
And that to me was the straw that broke the camel's back with the Bray Wyatt, push train. Because it was bad enough that every time he'd pick a fight with somebody, he looked like he'd have the upper hand, and then they'd beat him at a pay-per-view. But then you had to one-up it by being like, he's going to call out the epitome of fear to say, I am the new face of fear. You talk a great game, Bray. Back it the fuck up. Of course, this is me insulting Bray like it's Bray's fucking fault.
Well, let's look at all of his WrestleManias so far. First WrestleMania 30, he loses to John Cena, who he really needed that rub. He really needed to go over on Bray Wyatt. And then the next year he wrestles The Undertaker. Again, Undertaker needed that rub because he's Bray Wyatt's this big superstar after he loses to Brock Lesnar. Mm-hmm. And then 32 he's hurt. So he comes out for the segment with The Rock where they bury Eric Rowan or whatever his name is. Yeah. The Rock wins in like 7 seconds. And probably made more than the entire fucking roster combined for that. And then this year he wrestles Randy Orton and I don't even want to talk about that match. That was disgusting. Like, all of a sudden, oh, look, maggots appearing on the ring. That's scary, right? No, it makes the match look fucking... It makes it look Bush League when you see stuff like that. I was okay with
it initially, like, especially with, like, the shock factor, but, like, once should have been enough. Yeah. Maybe twice closer to the end. But in the end, does it really matter when fucking he wins anyways? Or he loses, rather.
Yeah, that's the thing that really frustrates me with him is he gets built up and built up and built up, and he's got all this momentum, and then he gets to the one that's supposed to be the big payoff, and he jobs.
Yeah, they just fucking cut the floor off from under him.
He's done it so many times. There's so many times he's rebuilt his momentum, and then they just fucking bury him. Yeah. It's frustrating.
It makes no goddamn sense. And the only reason why I wasn't completely pissed off at the fact that he lost to fucking Demon Finn is because I knew he was fucking gonna. It's the cash cow of this. It's the biggest cash cow party of the summer. Yeah. If you push merchandise, chances are pretty good you're gonna go over. Yeah. And nobody pushes merchandise quite like Demon Finn.
Yeah, no, his I love Finn. I hope he gets another chance to go be near the top because he really.
I'd like to see it, but I'd honestly like to see the Demon get the fuck out of there until it's a really big deal and it's saved for a really big fucking feud. Because right now, not a really big fucking feud. No. That was just a last-ditch chance to get SummerSlam to get more ratings. Yeah. That's the only reason they did it. And you know what? He could have done that to fucking Elias Sampson. He could have done that to anybody else. They didn't need to build up a small program with fucking Bray Wyatt just to have Bray Wyatt get fucking dropped. If anybody deserves to walk into Vinnie Mac's office and slap down his walking papers and say, I'm out, Bray Wyatt's got to be the first in line. Yeah. With Rusev behind him.
Yeah.
And then Sami Zayn bringing up the rear.
Yeah. We got a whole list of people that should be handing their walking papers in.
The fucking ladies' bathroom line list all the way around the fucking block of people that should be handing their fucking papers in and be like, yeah, I'm out.
I love that Austin Aries had the balls to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Go back out in the Indies, make your money, and have good matches. Yeah. Because he's fucking... The Cruiserweight, Aries' whole feud with Neville was fucking pointless. Oh, he never won a match.
Yeah, exactly.
Never won a match. It was like, what the fuck's the point?
And I would only be bitter if Neville was a WWE guy. Like, they built him to what he was. But Adrian Neville was Pac on the fucking indie scene and stuff, and he was huge there. So, thank Christ it was an indie guy beating an indie guy.
I've seen that Red Arrow live. I went to an event a couple years ago at the Verizon, or now the Snoo Center.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And I saw that Red Arrow live. It is a sight to be seen. It's too bad he doesn't use it very often anymore.
I like it, but I don't know. I'm weird when it comes to, like... It takes a lot for a top rope move to really impress me. Like the last great thing for me is Kairi Sane's elbow drop, and that's only because she's the first person to drop a fucking elbow drop. She doesn't do one of these super poetic things where they almost hit, or one of these things like fucking what the hell's his name? Velveteen Dream. That motherfucker. Oh, although one of the last ones he dropped was good. Like he actually kept it tight, landed with the elbow down, landed the way you're supposed to. I hate elbow drops that are like I get 300 feet in the air, but when I land like this. On my hip and my knee and my hand down flat. That's not an elbow drop. That's you're not confident enough in your landing or your jump, so stop doing the fucking move. Like Eric Young, he does a fantastic elbow drop. Eric Young. His fucking elbow, he curls himself up into a perfect little package and lands it solid every time. And Kairi Sane dive bombs people. She's a kamikaze pilot. She jumps straight up in the air, kicks her feet out, and just points the thing and just see you later.
Talk about people that should be up on Raw or SmackDown. Eric Young's one of them. I love Eric Young.
I do, but I think the whole faction with Sanity is they need to stay there because I'm going to completely go hypocrite on my fucking statement. They kind of need that faction on NXT because otherwise you've just got NXT looking more and more like a proving ground or like developmental. You need it to look more like a thing, so it needs factions and tag teams and champions and things like that. And I'm glad they got the belt, which is weird because when they first came out, I'm like, who are these schlubs? Besides Eric Young.
Yeah, who the fuck are these people? But
took Wolf 2 matches to flip my fucking opinion on him completely. Because I'm like, he's a joke. He does nothing. He doesn't talk. He does a stupid dance. He doesn't have any goddamn moves. 2 matches. And I'm just like, all right, I'm marking. He's my guy.
He's a good guy
Fucking
now.
love him. I'll take him over the Beast of Belfast only because I don't like flying crossbodies from fat guys. I just don't.
No.
Just because it's like, he's so big, it makes the impact. I'm like, any move he does makes an impact because he's so big.
Yeah, he's a
Give
big
him
guy.
a body splash. Let him do one over the top rope then. Not
but-
that stupid running.
Yeah. But if we're still talking, we're talking about the best theme songs. I love Bray's theme song. It's
different.
it fits the personality.
Yeah.
It fits the and the lights go up and all that shit. That is just that gets me goosebumps thinking about it. That entrance he had at 31 against Taker would have been so much better if it was in the dark. Like if they were indoors,
dancing scarecrows.
yeah,
right?
the dancing scarecrows. But it was in the light, so it was kind of it was like the sun was still setting. They're still trying to kill time, so the Undertaker's somewhat in the dark.
But the same issue with Triple H at that one with his freaking Transformers entrance. Like, doesn't really work all that well when it's still daylight out.
Yeah, and Sting's entrance. A lot of entrances would have been good if it was like in an indoor stadium. But I love Bray Wyatt's theme. I'm always gonna be a mark for Stone Cold's. The glass shattering.
Yeah.
You're ready to go. It's like some people like their theme song comes out and I forget who it is. I'm like, who's this again? Who's that? And then, but you hear that glass shatter, you know that's Stone Cold coming out.
And he's one of the few guys that every iteration has been good. Like, even Disturbed, who I hate, their iteration of it was fine. I had no problems with it.
Yeah. Oh, man. But the best theme song, in my opinion, ever. It's hard when I say ever, because it's like, you gotta go through a long history. I'm gonna go with Real American.
Oh, Hulk's? Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's just... When you think of wrestling theme songs, you think of that song. So if you're picking best ever, I would say Hulk's is the one.
Jesus, now I feel like I gotta backtrack because I don't even remember what I did for mine now. Should have written it down. God, what did I do? I know Shinsuke Knock made it on there, but I don't remember. I think.
He's another one.
He made 2 or 3. He was surprisingly high up.
I love his. If I could go, well, I am gonna go back because we're doing this right now. I'm gonna take DX's off the list and put Shinsuke on there because I love that whole thing. Especially like at the takeover events or the big pay-per-view events where they have the guy with the violin coming out and playing.
As long as it's the guy playing it. When he did one where it was like he took on Bobby Roode and it was like 1 billion people pretending, I hate that. Nothing triggers me more than people who don't actually play an instrument
pretending to play an instrument. Yeah.
Oh, it's maddening. It's one thing when it's like you fuck up and you're like, oh, hey, guess what? You're not plugged in and you're obviously lip syncing with your instrument playing. It's another thing when you are air guitaring with a prop. I'm like, I can't do it. Just annoying.
Yeah. Shinsuke's theme.
Especially when they zoom in on the one who's like moving and she's super passionate, so everybody's like, yeah, look at her getting into it. I'm like, when the line is, she shouldn't be going. I'm like, you're just gonna hear a bunch of. I'm like, you're ruining the theme. Sit down.
You're killing it.
We were too far or too soon in for me to put either Pete Dunne's or Aleister Black's on there but I do plan on doing one in the future that's going to be entrance, not themes, but the entrance itself. And I spoiler alert, Aleister's going on that list. He's got and it's so cool because it's so new and everything. It's there. It takes the Brood and kind of ups it a little bit, but still not as cool as the Brood because it doesn't have the fire.
No, you know whose theme song they tweaked a little bit and now I love it? Seth Rollins.
Oh, just by adding the
burn it down. Burn it down.
It is true. I didn't like the silence.
The dead air killed me, but I like the burn it down, and then the theme song starts. I love that.
It definitely.
They changed it. They just tweaked it a little bit, and I like it. I wasn't a big fan of it before, but now
The silence worked great when there were fireworks, but since they're like, it costs too much money, we're going to stop them.
It costs too much money.
Once they did that and there were no more fireworks, it was pointless. Dead air sounds stupid. I mean, it would be one thing if like they did stuff like when John Cena comes out and he's talking to the camera the whole time, or even CM Punk's it's clobbering time. Stuff like that works great in dead silence. When all Rollins does is come out and go, yeah! And that's it. That doesn't work for me.
Yeah, I was disappointed by the 2/3 of the Shield reunion. I thought it could have been done a whole lot better, booked a whole lot better, but hindsight's always 20/20 in those situations.
And honestly, it's just a setup to build the fucking tag team champions. No longer mean anything. They are just there to be the rocker 70 point whatever at this point, because 7 billion times now it's been these two best friends have the titles and they're together and they're clacking them and they're having a great time, and then one turns on the other one and the team is never the same. It always fucking happens.
I hope it's Dean Ambrose that turns.
It better be.
It better be.
We've already seen Rollins turn heel. Like, we know what he can do.
He's a great heel.
Yeah.
He's a great heel, but I think Ambrose can be a great heel, too. He was good when they first started with the Shield. I was like, woo.
He was my unsung hero of the Shield because I'm like, yes, Reigns is the pretty boy with the power. Yes, Ambrose has got all the... Not Ambrose. Rollins has got all of the high-impact stuff, and he's flying all over the place, and he looks like he's the strategist, even though, to me, the architect, the strategist one, the smart one, was Ambrose, because Ambrose was no wasted motion. He was dragging you across the top rope. He was, squeezing the nose.
That gimmick where he gets hit and comes back to the middle ropes, comes through and clothesline. I love that. That's my...
If I hadn't seen Nigel fucking McLariat do it a billion times in ROH, I'd be okay with it. My thing is there's no way to not make it look sloppy.
Yeah.
Because there's no way to do it quick. You have to... Okay, here we go. Like, there's no way to do it and look good. I would rather you actually hit the rope and just fly. Like, I like Bray's better in that case because Bray just stands there and he's just
oh yeah, his clothesline is...
Cena's good at them too, but it's not necessarily Cena's thing. It's more the person taking it.
Yeah.
It's everybody that takes one from Cena is an indie guy, so they know to take it, whole arm, smash across the side of the neck, and flip. Take it like it kills people, and that's the way Lariat should be.
Yeah.
Lariat gets celebrated too often in independent things because people are like, have you seen how stiff that is? I'm like...
No, when Stan Hansen did it and couldn't see who he was hitting, that's stiff. JBL's coming off the rope and just, plowing through somebody. That's stiff.
Yeah, JBL's got, JBL made my top 5 Lariats, and so did Stan Hansen. I mean, unfortunately, I think I would have upset Tim, because Tim wanted Stan to be number 1. But I'm like, no.
No, JBL's had
just from inconsistent... Well, I know JBL's only made number 3 to 4, only because of the fact that it looked a little silly against smaller guys.
Yeah.
Just also the fact that it was always the same thing. I don't know. My win went to the Burning Lariat by Ken Akabashi, because he would grab you by the back of the head and bury you with it. And I'm like, that to me is great, because Hansen's was weird, because Hansen would just sometimes just clobber you with his arm, and that would count as the
lariat.
The Western Lariat. I'm like, I don't like it. But I love it because he killed people with it.
Because he couldn't see. I can't believe they would let somebody in the ring that just cannot see a damn thing.
It's just so funny. It's just people always say I'm stiff. It's only because I have bad depth perception. That's putting it mildly.
Yeah.
You knocked another man's eyeball out of the socket. All right. That's
him and Vader.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was one of the most brutal matches I've ever seen.
Yeah. Vader's an unsung hero for shit too.
If he's not in the Hall of Fame this year, I'm gonna be pissed.
I can't believe he isn't already.
I know, but if he's talking about he's only got a couple years to live because of his heart issue,
guaranteed.
I want him in the Hall of Fame before he dies. I didn't like Randy Savage going in with his brother being there. I wanted Randy there. Yeah. It's too late. It took too long.
Same thing with Rude. Rude should have been in there before then, but I mean, obviously he passed a long time ago.
They probably wanted to wait a little time to go by because he admitted to using the juice, and they don't want WWE doesn't want to touch that.
Except for Brock Lesnar.
Except for Brock Lesnar, yeah.
And for Jinder Mahal wearing the belt.
And Cena's HGH guy. He's got to be. There's no way. There's no way you can...
I don't care if it's testosterone replacement therapy, something like that, to up you that kind of PED. My thing is legitimate, just juice to the tits, steroid usage. That I have a problem with that.
There's no way that he breaks his neck and comes back in 3 months.
Yeah.
Not naturally. I don't care how big his superhuman healing powers are. You don't come back from a broken neck in 3 months.
The fact that he got his nose broken through a knee pad and managed to be okay with it a day later.
Yeah. Oh,
Comes back in, no swelling,
that
no
was
nothing.
That was gruesome when he got his nose broken by Rollins. His
was like, man, I wish
nose
I had
was
a
on like
soundboard.
the side of his face.
And I'm amazed Rollins can still do knee lifts just because of that. Like, be like, no. You broke a guy's nose with that. It's time to stop. But then again, fucking Shinsuke Knock fucking busted an orbital socket and a jaw with his. So, I mean, and you can't really take away the Kinshasa because that really
That's
has
his
nothing.
move, yeah. But speaking of Cena, I gotta give him mad like props. Like when he took that bump from Shinsuke on his head, and you can verbally see Shinsuke apologizing after the match, and Cena's like, "Don't apologize. This is what it's about," you know.
He also has to say, "Don't apologize because it's my fault
that I can't.
I should have told you don't do this move. I don't do backflips." I'm like, you show me a time he's done a flawless backflip, and I will fucking dip my hat in tartar sauce and eat it. Until that point, I'm going to stick out that Shinsuke is not at fault. And the fact that Vinnie Mac was like, I am so angry with him for doing that maneuver. Go fuck yourself. There's no way to blame that on fucking anybody other than Cena. I'm like, I mean, maybe you could give it to Shinsuke with the fact that he might not be quite strong enough to flip him all the way.
Yeah, Cena's 250-something pounds to try to flip over your head when you're... You know,
the man is an upside down triangle. Good luck flipping that. There is no bottom to that guy. It's all top. He's super top heavy.
Top heavy as shit.
I mean, and that move. I mean, I'll be honest. That move kind of sucks. Anyways, I don't like the reverse exploder. I know he uses it as a signature, so he kind of needs it. But it just.
Yeah.
Going to continue to be bummed out by people being like, he's not the same. He's just not the same as he was in Japan. I'm like, do you not realize that I guarantee he's got people over him all the time being like, hey, that thing you do, don't do that anymore. Yeah. He has a...
Road Dogg coming back to him and be like, listen, man, you can't be doing this. You know, this is a different world we're living in here.
He's got a billion Mayweather refs backing him up being like, hey, don't do a thing. Just don't do it. I know what you're thinking of doing. Don't do that. We don't do that here. Which is bullshit. That's the thing that sucks for the stiff style of wrestling. I'm like, you have nowhere to... And that is why I'm going to... Here we go again with a fucking train of thought wreck. I am terrified for what's going to happen with Asuka. Just because I'm like, if they even do the slightest bit of fucking shitting on that woman, I will find my way down... Yeah,
she got
collarbone got broken.
Yeah,
but when she comes back from that, surprise comeback, obviously, because everybody's going to know what's going to happen when it happens, but it would be great if we didn't. She's going to come back, and she's either going to be on Raw or SmackDown, probably Raw. And I'm like, there is only one issue with that I see, and that's Nia getting Nia's push. Other than that, though, everybody that is in the higher up there, the only one she hasn't beaten is Bliss. And I'm like, I'm sorry, that's Asuka we're talking about here. Bliss is great. Asuka is God tier. There's no comparison.
Yeah,
like, she's the single greatest female.
She's a great. Yeah. Like I said, I haven't been following NXT as closely as I probably should start doing again.
Did you watch the takeover before SummerSlam?
No. I'm going to, though.
Her match with fucking Ember Moon was so good.
Yeah, I got it. I don't know what it is. It's just
NXT. That and the Itami and Aleister Black match. That was really good, too.
NXT, something changed. I don't know what. I don't know what it was. Something changed, and it's not the same for me anymore.
It could be because they've lost a lot of their sparks. You know, no Joe, no Shinsuke, no Finn. They've lost a lot of that stuff. I mean, Rude's now on SmackDown.
Well, I think
so
it's like
him.
I think it's because when it started out, when NXT first got started, it was the developmental, and you're building people up. These people, and they'll stay there for a while. Now it's we sign some indie guy and we put him through NXT, which is supposed to be the developmental, to train them just enough so that we can put them on the main roster. Like, how long was Rude in NXT? A year?
Yeah, not even. I don't think he was there for very long.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe he was, because I think he was there for Brooklyn 2, and then he made it in for Brooklyn 3.
Yeah, but Finn was in NXT for 2-3 years before they finally called him up. And that's
Joe wasn't even in for very long. Neither was Kevin Owens.
No. Kevin Owens was... that's another one.
He needed to be in not in NXT. He needed to be called up to the main roster anyways, just because he already had everything.
Yeah,
that guy made if anybody took the brass ring, it was him. His opening promo with John Cena trying to tell him that he doesn't know, maybe when you get a few more years under your belt and everything, to be like, oh, okay.
Okay, I've been wrestling.
Let me tell you something.
I've actually been wrestling longer than you have. I love that how they just WWE tries to pretend that the indie scene doesn't exist. and then when they do mention it, it's Japan. Like the Gallows and Anderson, Japan.
Yeah.
And I love that they brought Gallows back and didn't like make any mention of like his prior time. I don't think they've ever mentioned.
No, they haven't. They completely skipped out on it.
Festus and all that other stuff.
Well, Festus is definitely an under the rug gimmick that they wanted to avoid. Like we're sorry. And to be fair, he doesn't even look like the same guy anymore.
No, he's a guy that went away and went to polishing school and came back better. Same with Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
Went away for a couple years, guy's polishing, and he's back as a new guy.
And I didn't even think he needed it. Like I marked out when he was the chosen one. Fucking I was like, he's the one. He's going to be the one. And I was so depressed when they put him in 3MB and he was just bottom of the barrel, while his Irish cousin there was fucking thriving. I'm like, why is Sheamus doing so well, but Drew McIntyre, who has legitimate talent, is just nothing? Because it's all about, you can talk, and as long as they can talk. I'm like, you want to tell me Sheamus can talk? I can count on no hands how many good promos Sheamus has ever had.
That's why they put him with Cesaro.
Yeah, that's good. Give him to a guy who also can't cut a promo to save his life. And that bums me out just because fucking Cesaro is so good.
He is. He's main event, world caliber talent. There we go. I got the words out. That just the one thing that he doesn't have is he can't talk. If you put him with a mouthpiece, if he had stayed with Heyman, he'd be a world champ.
The worst part is like what I hate, and this is, I mean, maybe it's my own personal bias stepping in, but I honest to God feel like there are a billion people on that roster that if they were given the exact same, not the same contract, but the exact same level of push and build that Brock Lesnar has gotten, they could be him. Cesaro is so good that there is no reason why he couldn't tear people apart and impress people while he's doing it. Kevin Owens could do it. Bray Wyatt has all of the build of a character, or all of the design of a character that should be borderline lighting people on fire.
Yeah.
He should be like a Kane Undertaker hybrid with fear and darkness and despair being his thing. But no, we have to let him talk like it's a big thing and then do nothing with it.
Speaking of Kane, why is it all of a sudden that wrestlers are getting into politics?
I know, that is a little weird.
Kane's running down for mayor down in Knox, Tennessee. Rhino's running for governor or mayor or something up in
that one took me by
Michigan.
Surprise. I was like, you never struck me as the type. But maybe that's because I remember ECW Rhino.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Is like he's supposed to be running for mayor, and he's on TV wearing his shirt, like a promo shirt, and then he's doing like the stereotypical hillbilly thing of pouring the cheese whiz all over the crackers and eating them. I'm like, really? How's that going to help you get over?
Yeah, because usually these guys try to separate it.
Yeah.
Although they didn't with Kane, apparently. I guess his business card or whatever, his promo thing, it's actually got fire built into it.
Yeah.
As a kind of a nod.
I hope he wins. Kane's one of the smartest.
I was going to say he's super intelligent.
Yeah, he should be. I hope he does win.
I mean, he reached get off my TV status for a while there, especially with the black trousers and the beard gut. I'm like,
and the going back and forth between mask and no mask. I hated that.
But there was another one too. Like his in-ring style never changed when he didn't have the mask on.
Yeah. Ooh, what's changed? Ooh, you took the mask off and your face looks a little weird. Ooh.
There was always something that bothered me with my own in-ring stuff, because I always wanted to be like Finn is essentially what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a guy just wore a jacket or a suit, looked like the part, but then when it was time for me to get down to business, all of a sudden I've got a mask that I take off, I'm dressed differently, and I act like a completely different person, because in the ring it's showtime, out of the ring it's talk time, stuff like that. I always wanted to go that route, but I could never justify it. I'm like, it doesn't make sense. There's no reason for me to just wear a mask and be like, I'm a crazy ass when I get in the ring, but when I'm out of the ring, I'm fine. And then along comes Finn Balor with that shit, and I'm like,
gimmick infringement.
It doesn't make sense, because everybody likes it, so I rate it.
I always fashioned myself as a Cactus Jack type. Just the crazy guy that just takes the insane bumps, because I'll fall off anything.
You are a trooper, because I will not. As the guys who wrestled me, I wouldn't take a back bump, so.
Oh, yeah. No way. The first time I really fell in love with wrestling was when I was here with you guys, and one of your guys suplexed me on the mat. And I was like, oh, I like this.
Yeah, we gave too many people the crash course on the foam. They were too used to it, so that when we got the real ring, people were like, this isn't the same. No, it's not. but it's a lot closer to real wrestling, and for me, it's a lot more fun.
Yeah.
I hated dancing around on that foam, and I hated it more when it was the big foam thing on the lawn, and less so when it was foam on top of the ring out there. But when we got the real ring that was only padded with like carpeting and had a little bit of spring, that was it for me. Because once I felt like I could move on it and stand on it without feeling like I'm
gonna fall.
I'm like, I'm good. Now that I got my balance, I love every minute of this.
Yeah.
Plus, there's just something about like any move that makes you have to lay face down in a mat that is essentially a filthy ass wet tarp with soaked like sponges underneath. I'm like, I can't even imagine the type of like disgust and mold we buried people in on that ring. For what?
To entertain ourselves. Yeah. This is entertainment, damn it.
I joked about the fact that I have most of them here on this thing somewhere that I'm gonna like start cutting commentary over them and then re-releasing them all. But I'm like, I don't know. I think I have my peas and my fingers in too many pies as is, because this one I'm starting another podcast about odds and ends, different things between video games, movies, TV, music, politics, whatever. One of those. If somebody wants to talk about something that isn't specifically wrestling, then okay. I mean, I'll still talk wrestling on it, but the idea is this is wrestling with other stuff kind of sandwiched in if it has to be.
Yeah.
But that's the main point, is this is about wrestling versus the other one is a nerdy podcast about things we like to talk about otherwise.
Yeah.
And everything. So there's that.
That's why I started my channel, because I wanted to kind of set up a podcast, but I don't have the time or the effort, the ability to put in the effort for it. So it's easier for me just to pull up my phone and yell at my phone for 18, 20, 30 seconds and then put it on YouTube and let it be what it is. But it's just, oh man.
Yeah, this part here is the easy part.
Yeah,
once I'm done with this and I have to start splicing it down and cutting it and everything, that's when I'm just like, what have I done with my life? Why did I volunteer to do this?
Why am I doing this to myself?
That one with bacon that was like 3 hours and 20 minutes. God, it took me 3 days to edit it, because you basically have to listen to the whole thing and cut it down bit by bit as you're going through it. So you have to listen to the entirety of the podcast again. And I'm like, I can't do listening to this for another 3 hours. I have to...
I have shit I gotta do.
A little bit of night, and then a little bit of night, and then a little bit more night, and then finally it's done. And I'm like, oh, thank God.
Now I gotta do it again. Fuck! Yeah, no, but this has been fun. I've enjoyed this. This has been a good experience.
I figured you'd be a natural. You just got to forget that this is here.
Yeah, no. If I'm
start like playing to the mic, it's too much.
Yeah,
I mean, I played to the mic for the first couple, but I needed to make a name for myself.
Yeah.
So.
I'm still working on my name. My name is I'm gonna be a cross. My YouTube channel is gonna be make me a cross between Lewis Black and what's his name there that used to be on 60 Minutes. The guy, Andy Rooney.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I feel like I'm gonna end up if I don't. I'm trying to change it. I'm trying to make it more like people give me suggestions, and I'll talk about them. But if it's just gonna be me just ranting about shit that pisses me off, like I wanted to go off on the Mayweather McGregor fight like the next day, but I'm like, no, because it's gonna be 10 minutes long and it's just gonna be me yelling and screaming.
Plus, when you do that, you get into like basically thought policing with yourself. You start like, and that's because. But wait a minute, I guess that's not fair, because it's the same thing I did with him. Like, you buried the wrong fucking Samoan. I can't blame Brock. That's not his fault. That's the way he was booked. That's exactly what that is. That's when stream of consciousness takes over, I second guess.
Well, I'm glad I waited till now to get to my Mayweather McGregor thing, because I think it was much more thought out than it would have been if I had posted it the next day. I waited a week and a day to get it out, and I think it came out a lot better than it would have been if it had been like, are you fucking kidding me?
I almost did one, but it would literally have just been like 30 seconds, because I would have been like, and now here's my review of the Conor McGregor Floyd Mayweather fight.
Man, McGregor got fucked.
No, sir. I don't like it. And then that would have been the end of the show. I mean, it made 1 million downloads, I'm sure, but
yeah, he's friggin' man. I'm sure he's hurting though, sitting at home with his. What he makes $75 million off the fight?
I think $375 million. He made a lot of money.
Well, they said the initial payout was like he got like 100. Floyd got like 100 million, and Conor got like 75 million. But that's before buys come in and advertisers and all that other shit.
There were triple-digit million downloads, or not downloads, but pay-per-view buys. So pay-per-view numbers alone are going to put a pretty good sack of cash in his pocket.
Now, if only Mayweather remembers to pay the tax man this time.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Oh, God. I could go into a whole other thing about Mayweather, about everything I hate about him. He'd make a great heel if he just went pro wrestling full time. Because every time I see him, I just hate him. I just hate his face. He's one of those people your face you hate.
He's definitely a damned if you do, damned if you don't, because it's like you know so much about the shit that he's done. And it's really hard to just let go of it. You can't be like, no, I know he's a prick, but he's a great boxer, so it's okay. Which is funny because, to bring it back around, sort of, Chris Benoit, I know he's a piece of shit for what he did.
Yeah.
But god damn it, if I don't think he's one of the greatest in-ring wrestlers I've ever fucking seen in my life, and I will take that with me to the grave, because I'm not going to disagree.
It sucks having to try to separate that, because Chris Benoit, the wrestler, should be in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Benoit, the person,
nope.
No. It's like, it's too bad you can't separate them. Like, split them in half and be like, this guy goes to the Hall of Fame. This guy can rot in the ground for all I care. And then you see his son wants to start wrestling. His son's training at Dudley Boys Camp. Wow. I'm like, why would you, after seeing what happened with your father and everything, why would you want to get involved in this? It's the same way I feel about Noelle Foley, saying she wants to get into the business. I'm like, you saw what your dad had to do to himself to get over.
Yeah, but she's probably also seen that women have to do not quite the same.
Yeah, that's
true.
A
lot more work in other areas, but a lot less work in the area that like made him him.
Yeah, she's not gonna have to get thrown off a 20-foot cell to get over.
Although saying that, there was I don't know if it was no, it was just a regular NXT. That was Nikki Cross versus Asuka in a no holds barred or a last woman standing match, and whoa,
brutal.
They beat the piss out of each other. I mean, there were multiple spots that I'm just like, somebody's hurt real bad.
Yeah.
No, I guess not. They're getting back up.
Yeah, they're all right.
And she wasn't. And that makes me laugh. Went through that match. Asuka was fine. I mean, bumped and bruised. Maybe had a headache, but she was fine. Goes through a match with Ember Moon that had no big hardcore spots. Ends up with a fucking broken collarbone.
That's like the Seth Rollins Finn Balor match where Balor hurt his shoulder. He got hurt on a move that is relatively harmless if taken right. Mm-hmm. I mean,
if he'd either not put a shoulder up or put both shoulders up, he'd been fine.
Yeah, but then you think about it, it's like, oh, he's done that. Seth Rollins does that move, and it's pretty much a move that ended Sting's career, and it hurt Balor. So I don't know how much he should be doing it.
Yeah, but now I've noticed he doesn't really do it.
Yeah, he doesn't do it a lot.
It's also it's kind of a heel move, so they're kind of taking it out of his repertoire.
Oh man, he's just. I like Seth, but I think he's a better heel than he is a face.
Yeah. I like seeing him as a face, though, just because I like seeing people cheer him, because I feel like it's one of these you deserve it kind of thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes heels just can't get that just because of like the fact that they're heels. Some heels can, like Bobby Roode, Kevin Owens, people like that. They will be over regardless of what they are.
I can't tell. Is he a heel? Is Roode a heel or a face?
SmackDown. On SmackDown right now, he's a face.
I was going to say, because he comes out and he's just... It was just weird, like, because the little bit of NXT I saw, he was a heel, and he was, like, that shit he was doing with Roderick Strong. I remember that. That was, like, when I really was, like, watching it a little bit more frequently, and I was like, wow, he's a really good heel.
Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he shows up on SmackDown, and, he's a face.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah,
so now we're just completely ignoring NXT. Which is fine by me, because that's how it started. That's what made NXT good, is that it had nothing main event. I mean, occasionally WWE superstars would go down there and have matches, but it was rarely a Raw or SmackDown kind of thing. But now they're too connected. I liked it better when they were separated. But Vince is kind of taking on lesser and lesser of a role, and Triple H is taking on more and more of a role, so it'd probably be easier for him to have both of them connected. But
yeah. I would like it if Vince would take less of a role in everything.
Yeah, me too. But
Vince and Kevin Dunn gotta fucking get out.
Kevin Dunn. Oh my god, I could rant for 2 hours about him. I could rant for hours and hours about fucking Kevin Dunn.
Just any and all of the yes men in that company.
Well, Triple H has got his own yes men. He's got Jesse James and Michael Hayes is a good kiss ass for both of them. Talking about you want to get rid of racists, I can't believe he's not gone yet.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I want to use the excuse. I think it's just because he's a legend. Well, fucking so is Hulk Hogan. So
Hulk Hogan's twice the legend that Michael Hayes is, and I like Michael as a wrestler. I don't like him as a person. I like him as a wrestler.
I didn't even dislike him that much as a person. I think I hate him as a booker only because of the fact that every time somebody is like, the interview or the DVD comes out of, oh, where'd you get your finishing move? if your finishing move is any tweak on a cutter, it was Hayes who came up with it.
Yeah, Hayes
I'm like,
invented...
you unoriginal prick.
Hayes invented the Stone Cold Stunner.
Yeah, and a Twist of Fate. And the RKO.
Yeah, he did it all.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it was John Laurinaitis who was the first person to really do the cutter.
Yeah.
But, you don't need Johnny unless you want some jackass on TV to talk at you for 2 minutes. He was a person, John Laurinaitis was a person I hated when he was on TV, but once he was gone, I missed him. I was like, he's a bumbling idiot, but it was so entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
Oh, God. So many of them. Oh.
But no, this has been fun. It's good to have another voice on the show because I tend to work a little better when I have somebody to bounce stuff off of. I riff better when I have somebody else saying something that I can play off of rather than talking to myself and then stopping and being like, "Wait, what was I saying?"
What was I saying? That's why most of the rant things that I post are short, because after a certain amount of time I'm like, okay, I try to walk the line between angry and funny, and that is a razor thin line to walk.
It can be tough, yeah.
That's why I love Lewis Black, because he can be funny and angry at the same time. Some comedians, when they get angry, they're not funny. Jon Stewart, when he gets angry, he's not that funny.
Yeah.
But Lewis works that perfect angle of being funny and angry at the same time, and that's what I hope to be, but it's hard to do. Like, that's why my one I did about the preseason with the Patriots was so short, because I could have kept on. I started saying fuck and flipping off the camera and talking about Roger Goodell, and I'm like, okay, I need to stop this, because if I'm going to keep going, I'm going to start ranting about Goodell for 3 hours, and then and then once you become too angry, you stop.
Yeah, when it goes from being an entertaining point about the point and turns into just you being angry for whatever.
Once you're just being angry, it's not funny.
Yeah.
When you're funny and you're angry at the same time, it's good. But when it's just angry, it's not entertaining. Yeah, but no, I'm glad you finally gave into my hostage negotiations and had me come in. You know, I've been badgering this poor guy for months to have me on here. I'm glad he finally agreed to it.
I was like, what do I do? Because it's on again, off again with it. Like, I'm like, at first I'm like, consistency. I need to be consistent. And then after that, I'm like, consistency's going out the window, because I'm like, I got a solo band that I'm trying to work with. I'm trying to build up a YouTube, and I'm like, it's so many other things going on. Plus, I had so much fun with the one I did with Tim that I'm like, I need to do more of that. I need more people on the show. And then the editing took over, and I'm like, I don't want to do that ever again. And it just couldn't stop getting in my own way. And then I'm like, okay, I gotta. And then when I said, like, around SummerSlam time, that was me putting the mental note in that said, like, I have now basically signed a contract. I'm like, I cannot get out of it, so I have to do it ASAP. Because otherwise I'll either keep finding excuses or I'll just go completely, like, tunnel vision in something and forget I even said it.
Yeah.
Because that also happens. Sometimes I get so tunnel vision in the way everything else is going, or just being tired or disinterested, that I forget I even have a podcast.
Yeah.
So I don't make one for weeks on end.
Yeah.
And then, like, oh, shit, I was doing these weekly, and now I do them
monthly
when I feel like them.
Monthly.
Yeah.
Then you turn into the Undertaker and you show up once a year.
Yeah, exactly. If I was getting that kind of money, I mean...
Yeah, no shit.
I might even consider showing up twice a year.
Yeah. Oh, my God. That's crazy. But no, this has been a blast, and you know, if you ever need somebody back in the future,
oh yeah, definitely.
You know, I'm not hard to find.
I'm gonna do it again. I'm definitely gonna try to get more people involved when it comes to like the big four in that period of time, because I can't go off on it myself.
Yeah, I wish I had watched SummerSlam a little bit more. It was kind of like the next day I kind of flipped through and checked out the high spots. I wish I had watched the whole thing, because then I could have more. I'd have more comments on it. But it was like I actually watched up to the tag team match, and it kind of disappointed me, because I didn't. It seems like they took the titles off Cesaro and Sheamus just to give them just to further what's going to be a developing feud between two people.
That's basically what it is.
It's
just something to be a catalyst for when they inevitably split.
It doesn't make sense to me, but
the ends rarely justify the means with that
then
company.
I was like, okay, I'll go to the main event and I'll watch the main event and we'll see how that goes. And then the main event was good, not great.
Good. Yeah.
I loved Lesnar getting put through the 2 tables and having the 3rd table flipped on him. That was crazy spot, which I'm impressed Lesnar agreed to go through with, because he basically has got to have creative control over everything. I read somewhere that he's like the only person that's allowed to know what the finish is. Like, some people, they get left in the dark until like match time. He gets to know in advance of what we're planning to do. I'm surprised he agreed to do that, but then the next night he came out and did it again. Took 2 side slams from Braun Strowman. So
yeah, I think it's one of those when he learns that it's not actually as painful or as big of a deal as it is. Plus, for all of my gripings about him, the guy at least does kind of want to do right by the business.
Yeah,
he doesn't want to just be the best and be like, I own this place, so you can't do anything against me.
That's the thing. It's like you hate it. You hate him because he doesn't care about like wins and losses. He doesn't care. He'll show up and do whatever they tell him to do. But you love that about him too, because he's willing to put people over that need to be put over.
Yeah.
Like he was gonna be. I think he was gonna put over Reigns until that at 31, until all that hullabaloo broke up about how everybody hated Reigns and everything. So they had to change it to give Rollins the win and keep the title away from. I think he was gonna.
Still my single biggest mark out of probably the last 10 years with wrestling.
I liked it.
As soon as he did the cash in, I jumped off the couch I was on. I was like, yes.
I liked it, but I felt like it was such a cop out. I enjoyed it, but I cop out at the same time, because it's like oh well, we don't want to keep Lesnar with the title. We want somebody that's going to be there every day with the title. But Reigns is not kind of where we want him to be. So what do we do? Oh yeah, that's right. Seth Rollins has the Money in the Bank contract. Let's have him come out and cash it in and win the title, and then problem solved. And then it's like, okay.
I want to see the freaking weirdo that decides to take the contract and do an honest to goodness match with it. Be like, no, you don't understand. I want this. Here's a contract. I'm cashing this in for this date or this pay-per-view or whatever, and we are going to have a legitimate match.
Cena
instead of having it. Did he?
Yeah, with his Money in the Bank contract, he cashed in a week in advance of Raw 1000 against CM Punk. Oh. He said, next week I'm cashing in this contract. Next week I'm giving you a week's notice to be ready. So it has been done. It's just very rare. I think
I'd like to see it more often, because now we're getting too common with the whole. Well, this guy's getting beat up, so obviously there's going to be a contract. Cash in.
I liked Ziggler's, but I could see it coming from a mile away.
Yeah. Well, they've been building up that for fucking ages.
Oh, Del Rio's in the corner. His ankle's hurt. Where's the music? 3, 2, 1. Oh, there it is.
I mean, the fact that moment was so big it transcended society and became a meme is like the greatest thing ever. So there's so many points. That was Hold My Beer before Hold My Beer was the meme. Yeah. It was, I'm going to show the world. And that was what it was. Yeah. And I'm like, you've done something right when it's at that point. Yeah. And he has never been the same since then.
Yeah, no. Poor guy. It's because he got hurt. He got the concussion, and that C word will. That gets you away from championship caliber talent.
Yeah, it derails everything.
Which I can understand and disagree with at the same time, because if you take the proper amount of time to heal, you can come back and it's like you never missed a day.
And you just don't want to take more of them, but it just means you got to just,
be careful.
Just be a little bit smarter about it. Maybe don't flop around like a fucking, I don't even know, like a crash test dummy every time you take a fist. Like he oversells everything, and I love it because I love watching him sell, but I just know that all the bumps he takes are gonna fucking
it's gonna catch
leave
up
him
to
in
him.
Shambles.
It's gonna catch up to him eventually.
I'm a little surprised it hasn't.
Well, I'm kind of curious as what they're gonna do with him on SmackDown. Like the last couple of weeks where he's just been doing the backstage interview and he says next week. I'm kind of interested where that they've got the interest in me a little bit.
Yeah, but I'm starting to get like burnt out on that because they've been doing that with fucking Breezango and the fucking Fashion Files. Like,
oh, that's a thing. Can
we turn this into something, please? Instead of constantly being like.
Yeah, that was interesting at the beginning, and then by about when it turned the Ascension into Goof, which is another fucking thing I'm angry about. Is the Ascension.
It's weird. I didn't like them in NXT, but seeing the way they got treated on the main roster, I actually started to feel bad for them.
Yeah. Because they were I wasn't crazy about them in NXT, but I liked the gimmick. Mm-hmm. But then they come to the main event. Oh, we got to put... Vince has to have his way. So he puts him in shoulder pads. He puts him in face paint. Oh, you're going to be the new Road Warriors. But we're not going to call you the Road Warriors.
We're going to have you come out and say that you're the next version of that, but you're way better. And then all of the old dogs are going to come out of the back and beat the piss out of you.
Yeah. JBL jumps off out of the booth, and all of a sudden he's got an APA shirt on, and the APA is going to beat you up. And DX and the NWO are going to beat you up. It's like, what the fuck? It's like, it seems like right now going to NXT is not a demotion. It's a promotion.
Yeah, it should be. Because I'd love to see them go back down there, because I can just imagine them working within the confines of their heyday against an Authors of Pain. That would be a fantastic fucking feud.
I've got to say that Paul Ellering coming back to be with the Authors of Pain was one of the shockers for me. I was like, it almost took me a second. I'm like, that looks like... No, that's not him.
Yeah, no.
That's Paul Ellering. It's like, holy shit, you got a Hall of Famer, giving you a little bit of a push.
Which they need because they don't speak English.
Yeah.
So, or at least they don't when they talk. I don't know if it's because they can't or if it's just they don't speak it very well.
Yeah. But they got a pretty damn good mouthpiece.
I mean, he's a little Bray Wyatt-y in that. Like, a lot of what he says seems to make little to no sense, but a lot of it's all within the theme of chapters in the book. Hence the Authors of Pain.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I get it. I can dig the gimmick.
Yeah.
I like him because I like monsters.
Yeah.
I like monsters that aren't goofy monsters. That's the only thing that's wrong with Heavy Machinery for me is they're monsters, but they're goofy monsters. Even though Boo Shaka Doo he's catchy, he's addictive to watch, but I hate it because I'm like, I just don't like goofy fat guys. That's what I hated about like, shit, what the hell is his name? Bull Dempsey when he was there.
Yeah, oh my god.
He started as the old school, and I'm like, I like it. I don't like the diving headbutt, but I like everything else.
Yeah,
and then
I'm surprised WWE let him do the diving headbutt, knowing who that's connected to.
Well, they let
Daniel Bryan do it. Yeah, but Daniel pretty much, I think,
mostly they should be roping it in because like it's notorious for causing the concussion issues.
But you're jumping off the top of the rope, going into the air, and you're hitting somebody with your head.
Yeah. Even if you're barely hitting them with your head, it's still the sheer concussive force of landing flat on your stomach with no real bracing.
Yeah.
Because at least if you land in a body splash, knees and hands or arms or whatever, there's a brace factor there for that.
Yeah.
You can't brace when this is what's supposed to hit.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to see that less people are doing it.
Yeah. I never really liked it anyways, because I'm like, if you don't do headbutts regularly, I don't understand why diving headbutts all that effective.
Yeah.
I get it from the Samoan standpoint of like, as a Samoan, you've got a naturally hard head, but
yeah,
I don't understand otherwise.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make sense. Oh, goodness.
About 2:35, so probably a good time to wrap it up.
Yeah, well, it's been fun, and hopefully we'll be back soon. Well, I'll be back soon. You'll be back. Mr.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, you never know.
Maybe like, no, I'm done.
Nope, that's it. I'm done. No more of these.
Every single one, I'm just going to come off and be like, nope, I'm done. I quit. I'm tired.
Well, I wouldn't blame you either way.
When I get done with the editing, I'm going to
why did I agree to do this? Oh,
see myself the whole time. I'm going to try to keep it within an hour and a half so that editing's not that bad. Just kidding.
Just kidding. We're going to sit and BS for 2.5 hours. Oh, man.
But thanks for being on the show. I appreciate it.
No problem. Anytime.
I definitely plan on having you on again somewhere in the not-too-distant future.
In the not-too-distant future.
Exactly.
So, Mystery Science Theater 3000, shout out!
For some odd reason, I thought that was the Land of the Lost. Man, I'm fucking out of it. As soon as you said MST3K, I knew it. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Why the hell did I think that was Land of the
Shout
Lost?
Out! Oh, I still got to get to work on the new season of that. I watched like the first episode and a half, and I haven't really got back into it.
That show was always tough for me just because...
The movies suck.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that plus, like, after a while, it's so weird because, like, when you watch, there's highlight bits that are so good. Like, there have been some movies that we've watched on it that within the first 20 minutes of the movie, the lines that they have said are absolutely, like, it's mind-blowing how funny they are. And then at some point, it just, the movie sucks. What they're saying sucks. It all just sucks. I'm like, this sucks. Mm-hmm. This is no good. I want to laugh this whole time. Like, that was the problem with, like, we watched one where they were watching EGA, and it's like, first 15 minutes of that, amazing. The last, like, 50, bored me to tears.
Yeah.
The thing, it was like, I don't even remember what the name of the movie was, but it was like dogs got wrapped up in like fur costumes made to look like giant shrews. I think it's actually called Night of the Shrew, or Night of the Shrews, I think is what it was. And that movie, not only was that movie garbage, but their dialogue throughout it was garbage. But then, like, what was it? Something of like mixed up teenagers become crazy mixed up zombies or something like that. It's a long fucking title, but it's like lauded as one of the worst movie ever made, even worse than Plan 9 from Outer Space. And that MST3K had me in stitches the entire time.
Yeah,
like, it was just the funniest fucking thing. I'm like, see, this is a sign.
For me, Pod People was the one that had me going the whole time when they did Pod People.
Mm-hmm.
Just when they kept calling out names and then he would go McLeod.
Yeah,
that had me going every time. But yeah, there's some of them, and maybe it's just because it's a new and it's not the same people. I mean, you have Crow and you have Tom Servo, but it's not the same.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I liked the first episode; it was pretty good, but I haven't gotten around to finish watching them. And now we went off on a 5-minute talk about Mystery Science Theater.
I was debating. I'm like, do I just hit stop? Because I don't always have an outro, so I mean, it seems kind of.
Well, we'll be back in the not too distant future.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what it is.